21 to 50. On the surface, Li Shijiang made less than 400 RMB from this transaction. But many of the treasury bonds were bought below market value. Li Shijiang had made nearly 10,000 RMB. Unfortunately, he had more money on hand. This nearly 10,000 RMB did not surprise Li Shijiang much. This is the result of 2 months of hard work. He used 200,000 RMB and sat on the train for so long and only earned less than 10,000 RMB. He might as well help someone to exchange the maturing treasury bonds. Less work, more money, and closer to home. Furthermore, this round trip had cost them a lot of money. Li Shijiang felt that there was no need to come again. If Feng Yu could get some foreign exchange, it would be better. Foreign exchange bonds were not easy to get. There were very few people on the train back. Feng Yu and Li Shijiang were sitting on the lower berth. In front of them was roast chicken, peanuts, etc. But both of them did not drink. Brother Li, let me calculate for you. When you help others to exchange treasury bonds, the face value is only 5 RMB and 10 RMB, right? But there are 50 RMB, 100 RMB, 500 RMB, 1000 RMB and 5000 RMB in treasury bonds. Why do you only get 5 RMB and 10 RMB notes? Feng Yu said while tearing a chicken drumstick. I also don't know. It seems that when the face value is too high, people are not willing to sell. Li Shijiang said and threw a peanut into his mouth. This is the money you earned from running errands. For 10 RMB, the interest for 5 years is 2 RMB. If you give 1 RMB more, people will be too lazy to go to the bank and sell it to you. But for 100 RMB, the interest is 20 RMB. Do you think people will be willing to give you 10 RMB for 20 RMB? Quote. Li Shijiang said, then I can also earn 1 RMB. For 100 RMB, I will give 119 RMB. Li Shijiang argued. Feng Yu shook his head. Do you know about capital? Do you know about cost? We must try our best to turn the money we have into living money and let the money flow. Originally, 11 RMB can earn 1 RMB. Now, you made it 119 RMB to earn 1 RMB. Although we can receive more treasury bonds, do you think our profits have increased? Feng Yu asked. Li Shijiang scratched his head. What Feng Yu said makes sense. But what Feng Yu said about buying and selling treasury bonds in 2 places is not reliable. He worked hard to earn less than 400 RMB and he still needs to take leave. It is not worth it. Feng Yu looked at Li Shijiang's indifferent look and waved the piece of paper in his hand with the phone number written on it. Soon, Bing City will be a pilot project to allow treasury bonds to be traded freely. When Bing City is open to the public, you can make these calls. You will understand then. Quote. Feng Yu kept watch for the first half of the night while Li Shijiang kept watch for the second half of the night. When Feng Yu woke up in the morning, it was already time to get off the bus. This time, Feng Yu did not take the bus. Instead, Li Shijiang gave him a free ride to the post office's bus. Although he had to make 2 turns, he was guaranteed to arrive before noon. Back at school, teacher Sun asked about Feng Yu. Feng Yu said that his relative had survived and his condition was getting better. He hurried back. After school, Li Shijiang stayed in the classroom and looked for Li Na to tutor him. He also taught Russian to Li Na and both of them made rapid progress. After a week, Bing City also allowed treasury bonds to be traded freely. Li Shijiang remembered what Feng Yu said and dialed the number of Shenzhenhua Sha Bank. Hello, what is the current price of treasury bonds? How much did you say? Li Shijiang's eyes widened and his breathing became rapid. Li Shijiang could not believe it and dialed the number one by one. Rise, a huge rise. Now, the price of 100 RMB treasury bonds in Shenzhen had become 105 RMB. It has only been a few days and the price of treasury bonds has risen so much. If Li Shijiang brought 200,000 RMB treasury bonds to the bank, he could earn 1,000 RMB. This is a good business and the profits are much easier than selling small denomination treasury bonds. Li Shijiang immediately applied for leave from his leader and brought all his money to the nearby ICBC bank. He said, I am here to buy treasury bonds. I want as many as you have. Young man, do you know how many tasks we have received this month? 100,000 RMB. How many more do you want? How many can you buy? The bank president was also there and looked down on this young man who was arrogant because he had a little money. Li Shijiang did not care and said loudly, then I want all 100,000 RMB. What did you say? The bank president's hand that was holding the teacup trembled violently. The hot tea spilled on his hand, but he did not feel it at all. I said I want all of them, Li Shijiang said and put his backpack on the counter. This time everyone looked at Li Shijiang. Could it be that this kid is carrying 100,000 RMB in cash? When Li Shijiang took out 10 bundles of 100 RMB notes from his backpack, everyone in the bank looked at him with envy, jealousy and doubt. Those few windows are closed. Hurry up and come over to help count the notes. In this era, money counting machines were just popular in banks and there were frequent errors. So most banks are still used to counting money by hand. There were long queues at other places except for Li Shijiang. Not only everyone was busy helping him, the bank president even came over personally to light a Teha cigarette for him. Young man, what do you do? The bank president asked with a smile. Li Shijiang looked at the bank president warily. I am in the leather goods business. I made some money and wanted to support the country. That's why I came to buy treasury bonds. In this era, to make money in the leather goods business, the goods must be shipped to the south. This kid must have just returned from the south. The bank president looked at Li Shijiang and sighed at this kid's good luck. 10 minutes later, the counting was completed. Li Shijiang also counted all the treasury bonds and put them into his backpack. He hugged the backpack and left. Li Shijiang brought 200,000 RMB this time. He only bought 100,000 RMB here. He still needs to go to other banks to buy more. Li Shijiang went to another bank and once again enjoyed the admiring gazes of others. When he took out the 100,000 RMB notes, he immediately became the focus of everyone. This feeling is great. Li Shijiang took the train to Shen City alone. He remembered Feng Yu's words. He must buy a sleeper and a top bunk. This way, it will not be stolen easily. Although there were very few people on the train, Li Shijiang still resisted the sleepiness and did not dare to fall asleep. But in the middle of the night, he fell asleep. When he was woken up by the train conductor, he was shocked. He saw that his backpack was still in his arms and the treasury bonds were still there. He breathed a sigh of relief. After selling all 200,000 RMB worth of treasury bonds, Li Shijiang casually bought a few buns and rushed to the train station to buy a return ticket. He did not dare to stay for a moment longer. When he returned to Bing City, it was already night time. Li Shijiang could not help but call Feng Yu's school number at the train station. 10 minutes later, when Feng Yu called back, he shouted excitedly, Xiao Yu, the 100 RMB note has become 105 RMB. I earned almost 900 RMB on this trip. We are going to be rich. Feng Yu's relaxed voice came through the phone. Calm down, brother Li. This is just a small amount of money. In the future, we will be making a fortune. When Feng Yu was studying with Li Na at school, something big happened at Li Shijiang's house. What did you say? You want to resign? You brat, when I let you enter the post office, I begged the old leader to give you gifts and treat you to dinner. Now you want to resign? Quote. Li Shijiang's father pointed at Li Shijiang with a trembling finger. Dad, do you know how much I earned these few months? Tens of thousands. I just want to ask you how much you can earn in a month. Less than 100 RMB. I can earn a few years' salary in a month. Why do I still need to work? I only took a few days off. Look at our station chief. He scolded me in front of everyone. Li Shijiang said. You took a few days off. If I didn't ask, I wouldn't know. This month, you only worked for 4 days. Which leader can tolerate you for so long? If not for me, you would have been fired. Li Shijiang said. Then fire me. Anyway, I don't want to work anymore. What future can I have? Li Shijiang said. Shijiang, how can you say that? What's wrong with this job? It is not tiring and stable. In the future, you can even get a house. Li Shijiang's mother said. Mum, it's just a house. Now, we can afford it. Where do you want to buy a house? Everywhere in the country, including the capital, we can afford to buy a house. Quote. You are rebelling. You don't even listen to me. Li Shijiang said. Dad, Xiao Yu said that we must look forward and look at the problems from the perspective of development. Now, our job looks good and many people are envious of us. But if we can buy a big house and a small car, won't more people be envious of us? This way, we will have more value. Quote. Bullshit. Don't think that I don't know what you are doing. You are trading treasury bonds and going to Shen City every day. You are speculating. Quote. This is normal trade. Xiao Yu said that according to the country's regulations, treasury bonds are allowed to be traded freely and there is no tax. Look at Uncle Zhao's brother Chuanxi. During Chinese New Year, he bought a big color TV for his family. What did you tell me at that time? Look at how capable he is. Now we can also afford it, and we can even buy an imported color TV that's even better and bigger than his. Quote. Li Shijiang opened his mouth and said, Xiao Yu said it. Li Shijiang closed his mouth and said, Xiao Yu said it. This made Li Shijiang's father's forehead twitch. A man in his 20s actually listened to a teenager. Wasn't it shameful enough? News of this incident spread to the Feng family, and Feng Xingtai had just finished his spring sowing. He went to school and carried Feng Yu to Bing City. Listening to the in-laws, Xiao Li wanting to quit his job at the post office was his son's idea. Dad, what does this have to do with me? I really didn't encourage him to resign, Feng Yu defended weakly. Of course, the reason why Li Shijiang was scolded by the leader was because he had been on leave for a long time. In the end, it was because he asked Li Shijiang to run around to sell treasury bonds. However, he would never admit that he was the scapegoat. Shut up. When you reach your Uncle Li's house, apologize before you enter. Your Uncle Li is a leader. Didn't you see that he has a small car to sit in and people give him gifts during festivals? If your brother Li learns from your Uncle Li, he can also become a leader in the future. Quote. Feng Yu pouted. What's so good about being a leader? Uncle Li is only a deputy section chief. Our family can afford to buy a small car now. If people give him gifts during festivals, doesn't he also need to give gifts to his leader? Look at brother Li. Now he earns more in a month than he used to earn in a year. This is what you call a winner in life. Quote. Seeing his father staring at him, Feng Yu gave up on trying to persuade his father again. Forget it. Anyway, the funds are almost used up. Just let brother Li know his place. He can still use this money to stir up a storm. When Feng Yu reached Li Shijiang's house, not only the Li family was there, Feng Danying was also there. Everyone sat there, not saying a word. But when they saw Feng Xingtai enter, Li Shijiang's parents stood up to welcome him. But after they sat down, the house fell into a dead silence again. Feng Xingtai stared at Feng Yu. What are you doing? Still not admitting your mistake. Feng Yu was helpless. It's lonely to be an expert. No one can understand the thoughts of a genius who is more than 20 years ahead. This situation might last for more than 20 years. It's lonely at the top. Slap. The back of Feng Yu's head was slapped by Feng Xingtai. We are waiting for this kid to apologize. But he is still sitting there pretending to be stupid. Brat, don't you know that your sister's happiness is going to be ruined in your hands? If Li Shijiang resigns because of your instigation, will his family agree to the relationship between him and your sister? Feng Yu looked at his father sadly and stood up. Uncle Li, Auntie, it's all my fault. I shouldn't have let brother Li get involved. Brother Li, you should go back to work. Even if you work hard for the rest of your life, you can still have a house and a car. Quote. At first, Feng Xingtai felt that what his son said was right. But the more he listened, the more he felt something was wrong. Furthermore, brother Li, you had taken tens of thousands of RMB from your family. You should have earned tens of thousands of RMB now. This money is enough. It is more than what you can earn in 10 years. Our teacher said that people should know how to be content. Other people can live in big houses and watch color TV. We can live in small houses and watch black and white movies. We can also live in bungalows and listen to semiconductors. Quote. In the future, when you and my sister have a child, ask him to study hard and work in the post office. Although the salary is not much, it is still free. Other people's children will be sent to and from school by their parents. We can also ride our bicycles. Men should not have the courage to be the first in the world. Don't think about being superior. Just work hard for the 4 modernizations. Leave those glorious things to others. Quote. Feng Yu was good at brainwashing people. He could even brainwash people. If not, how could he attract so many investors? Feng Yu was confident that he could talk to anyone in the room for 5 minutes, and they would forget what they were discussing just now. Li Shijiang's parents frowned. Yes, what can their son achieve by working in the post office? In the future, they will have a child. If what Xiao Yu said was true, other people's children will be sent to and from school by 4-wheeled cars and our children will be sent to and from school by bicycles, then it will be a waste of the child's time. This was the first time their son had his own ideas. Should he really kill them? If he returned to the post office, would he be able to work peacefully? Li Shijiang's father suddenly asked, Shijiang, what do you think? Li Shijiang was originally depressed. But when he heard his father's question, he suddenly raised his head. Dad, I have thought about it clearly. I want to earn money. I want to earn a lot of money. I want you all to have a good life. I also want Dannying to be with me. Didn't the great man say that we should develop a socialist economy and allow some people to get rich first? Then why can't I be the one to get rich first? Quote. Li Shijiang's father looked at his son and then looked at his in-laws. Finally, he sighed. Fine. I will go back and look for the leader to apply for a 1-year unpaid leave. If you can't do it, then go back to work. Don't think too much. If you really can do it, then resign. The storm in the Li family finally subsided. Li Shijiang's father gave in. Although Li Shijiang was given 1 year, Feng Yu knew that after 1 year, Li Shijiang will not return to work at the post office. But this time, Feng Xingtai pulled Feng Yu's ears and told Feng Yu to go back to school and study hard. If he can't get into a high school in the city, he will be whipped by the wicker. As for the money, Feng Xingtai did not ask much. Feng Yu thought that Feng Xingtai had forgotten about it. But he did not know that Li Shijiang had already reported to Feng Xingtai that the Feng family's money is now 200,000 RMB. Anyway, they are dealing in treasury bonds. Even if they are not allowed to sell them, keeping them to earn interest is better than keeping them in the bank. Feng Xingtai knew that the reason why there are so many changes in the family is because Feng Yu is studying. That's why Feng Yu must continue to study, enter high school and enter university. This time, Feng Xingtai brought a big box with him. Inside is an imported 19-inch color TV. No choice. After Feng Xingtai saw the color TV at the Li family's house, Feng Yu saw through his envious eyes. When Feng Xingtai brought the color TV home, Zhang Muhua complained about him spending money. But when she found out that the family's money had increased to 200,000 RMB, she felt that they should add a refrigerator. This way, they can buy more meat in the summer. Feng Yu's results in school are getting better and better. In April and May's monthly examinations, it can be seen that Feng Yu's results have improved significantly. Teacher Sun asserted that as long as Feng Yu performs well, he will be able to get into the city's high school easily. He even has hopes of getting into the city's best high school. As for every time he goes to class, he can see Feng Yu and Li Na together. He pretended not to see it. Both of them are improving together and should be praised. Just when Feng Yu was immersed in his studies, he received a call from Li Shijiang. What? Brother Qi is coming to Bing City again. What's the matter? Quote. When Li Shijiang received Kirilenko's Russian telegram, he paid a teacher to translate it and found out that it was Kirilenko. He remembered that he had made a lot of money from that Russian last time, so he couldn't miss this opportunity no matter what. I'm going to delay Feng Yu's studies. Uncle Feng won't be angry if he finds out, right? But this matter could not be settled without Feng Yu. He does not understand Russian, and even if he hired a translator, he would not know how to bargain. When will he arrive? The day after tomorrow. He's also staying at the International Hotel. Quote. All right, you have to get a jeep the day after tomorrow to make us look rich. I will be arriving at Bing City the day after tomorrow. Let's talk when we meet. Quote. I'll pick you up the day after tomorrow. I've already borrowed the jeep. Feng Yu smiled. Li Shijiang was much smarter than he thought. Now, after trading treasury bonds for a few months, Feng Yu's horizons have broadened and he can think more clearly. What? You want to ask for leave again? It's almost time for the high school entrance exams. What's the matter this time? Quote. Teacher Sun, my brother-in-law has some connections in Bing City. I am going to meet his friend. He can guarantee that I will get into the best high school in the city. Sure enough, this lie was very effective. When Teacher Sun heard that Kirilenko was going to the city to use his connections, he could not stop Kirilenko. But in this era, who doesn't want to use his connections? This is related to one's future. When Teacher Sun saw Li Shijiang's jeep parked at the school gate, he completely believed Kirilenko. Feng Yu's brother-in-law is really capable. He's so young and he can drive a jeep. With a jeep waiting at the school gate, it naturally attracted the attention of many students. Some of the passers-by who knew Feng Yu came over to touch the car. Although this type of jeep is common in the city, but in the district, only the leaders have a car. Their school principal still rides a bicycle to and from work. Feng Yu, it's almost the high school entrance exams. Where are you going? Li Na grabbed Feng Yu. I am using my connections. If I am lucky, I can get into the best high school in the city without taking any exams. Oh, do you need help? Feng Yu purposely teased her. Li Na was almost crying. She thought that Feng Yu had changed and become more motivated. But who knows that he is still the same as before. I will take the exams myself. You don't need to care about me. Li Na turned and ran back to school. Feng Yu opened his mouth. Never mind, he will explain to her later. Kirilenko's matter is more important now. Hi, we are looking for Mr. Kirilenko from Moscow. Feng Yu stood at the front desk of the International Hotel and said. Young man, do you know Kirilenko? Why are you looking for him? Quote. Sister, you can give him a call. He is looking for my brother-in-law. He is in the car outside. The waiter dialed Kirilenko's number. When the call is connected, he uses a few words of Russian to tell the other party that someone is looking for him. Kirilenko came downstairs and was overjoyed to see Feng Yu. He gave Feng Yu a bear hug, and Feng Yu's legs were lifted off the ground. Feng Yu, who was out of breath, managed to escape from Kirilenko's hug. He quickly told Kirilenko that the car is outside and they can chat while drinking. He knows a place where erguotu is very good. Kirilenko had a deep impression of erguotu. The taste is very good, and he likes it very much. Kirilenko's eyes brighten up when he heard Feng Yu's words. He quickly dragged Feng Yu to the car. Feng Yu is a kid and cannot drink. Li Shijiang needs to drive and cannot drink. In the end, Kirilenko is the only one drinking. After half a bottle of erguotu, Kirilenko's face starts to turn red. After Feng Yu said a few words, Kirilenko told Feng Yu everything about his family. After listening to Kirilenko's introduction, Feng Yu took in a deep breath. He did not expect Kirilenko to have such a strong background. Kirilenko's father was a colonel in the Soviet Union's Air Force. Kirilenko had heard of this name before. Kirilenko had an older brother who was in the army and was doing well. Although Kirilenko was also a soldier, he did not have the mood to stay in the army. He only thought about how to enjoy life. Kirilenko used his father's connections to get a job in the logistics department. He used shopping as an excuse to travel around and earn a lot of money. The last time Kirilenko visited Bing City, he brought back a lot of goods. Now, the relationship between the Soviet Union and Warsaw had just improved, and many trades had not resumed. Some of Kirilenko's friends wanted to buy some ham, canned food, etc., but they did not have any connections. As a result, Kirilenko came to Warsaw as a representative to continue his shopping spree. Kirilenko had witnessed Feng Yu's capabilities during the last visit. Feng Yu had bought a lot of goods and even arranged for a car to send them to the airport's warehouse. Kirilenko also knew that in Warsaw, anyone who could drive a jeep now might be from a government official's family. Those with power were capable, and those capable people would be able to help Kirilenko to buy more goods. This time, Kirilenko had brought a lot of money with him and was prepared to buy more goods. In Feng Yu's eyes, Kirilenko was like a golden pig in his arms. Kirilenko could not be pushed away. If bilateral trade could be done in this day and age, they would definitely make a fortune. If Feng Yu remembered correctly, both countries will be signing a series of trade agreements soon. There should be tax exemptions, but Kirilenko was not sure if it had started. Brother Kirilenko, there's something I forgot to tell you. Since you're here, I'll be frank with you this time. Kirilenko, who had finished a bottle of erguotu, frowned. What? Brother Kirilenko, I am guilty. I had lied to you. Feng Yu said with a pained expression. You lied to me. What do you mean? Kirilenko shook his head as he was confused. Do you still remember the goods you bought last time? The value of those goods is less than 70,000 RMB, but I told you that it is 80,000 RMB. I thought you will not come back again and wanted to earn more. Now, I feel sorry for you. I will return the money to you tomorrow. This time, I promise I will not charge you a single cent. Quote. Li Shijiang was still leisurely eating peanuts with his chopsticks when he suddenly felt a gust of cold wind. It was already June. Where did the cold wind come from? Li Shijiang looked up. This Soviet Union bear seems to be angry and was staring at Xiao Yu angrily. I trusted you so much, and you lied to me. Shouldn't our friendship be like the friendship between two countries? Sweet and beautiful. Quote. We were not friends at that time, right? Now, we are friends, and I will tell you the truth. After this, if you are not willing to acknowledge me as your friend, then forget it. Feng Yu pretended to be disappointed. Kirilenko's brain started to work fast. The last time he brought back those goods, there was only the quantity and not the price. He said he bought those goods for 80,000 RMB. But it was 80,000 rubles instead of RMB. Although he had given away some of those goods, he had also sold a lot. He had made a lot of money. This time, Kirilenko came back alone was because he does not want others to know that Washaw's goods were so cheap. He wants to make more money so that he can buy a train of vodka and drink 1 or 2 bottles every day. If Feng Yu does not help him, then the goods he bought from Washaw will be expensive again. When he returns to China, there will be no profits. Kirilenko still wants to do this business for a long time. He had even contacted his connections to get the train. No, this Feng Yu cannot be underpaid. It was only 10,000 RMB. Compared to his earnings, it was not even 1/10. Just treat it as his hard work. But next time, he couldn't cooperate with this kid. Thinking of this, Kirilenko suddenly grinned, revealing an ugly smile. What are you talking about? Of course, I still treat you as a friend. That $10,000 was what you deserved in the first place. Let's not talk about that between friends. Let's talk about what I want to buy this time. Quote. Li Shijiang was relieved when he saw the Soviet bear suddenly smile. Just now, he was still worried about whether he should fight back if the big hairy bear suddenly attacked him. It's not a question of whether he can defeat Kirilenko, but Kirilenko is a foreign guest. Regardless of whether Li Shi is in the right or not, he will be at a disadvantage. Feng Yu also smiled. Alright, since you treat me as a friend, I'll help you get the cheapest price for whatever you want to buy and how much you want to buy. You can hire a translator to accompany you the whole time. Kirilenko waved his hand. No need, I believe in you. After dinner, Kirilenko invited Feng Yu to stay at the International Hotel. Kirilenko told Feng Yu that night for a chat. Feng Yu told Li Shi that he will pick him up at 8 a.m. tomorrow. At the same time, he asked Li Shi to contact his friends at the cooperative to ask if they have any unstocked goods. My dear Feng, do you want to try some cigars? Feng Yu smiled and waved his hand. I'm not used to it. You are very daring. I like you. This time, I brought 300,000 rubles with me, and I want to spend all of it. The ham sausages, canned food, and sweets last time were all very good. Also, the towel with flowers was very popular. Quote. Floral towel. Damn, that's a pillow towel. Never mind, if you all want to use it as a towel, then so be it. Anyway, you all are the ones who bought it. No problem, you just need to follow me tomorrow to see what you need. I will help you negotiate the price. I promise you that the price will be very good. But this time, there are so many things. How are you going to bring them back? Quote. Feng Yu was curious. If it was by air, it would be too expensive. By train, I have a friend who helped me get a train carriage. So, you don't need to worry about transportation. I will also be taking the train back. Feng Yu could not help but click his tongue. It's so easy to get things done with background. Look at how easy it is to get a train carriage. He said it was as easy as buying cabbage in the market. Both of them chatted for a while, and Kirilenko's loud snoring came from the bed. Feng Yu regretted coming to the International Hotel. He should not have agreed to share a room with Kirilenko. This snoring sounds like a chainsaw. The next morning, Li Shi drove to pick them up. The three of them arrived at the cooperative. Manager Su, who got the news, was already waiting at the door. Manager Su, we are here again. Do you have any good things to recommend? Feng Yu asked. Yes, honey, canned food, biscuits, milk powder. Most of these things can be sold at a discount. Manager Su immediately told Feng Yu about some of the unsaleable products. Well, it was the same as what Li Shi's comrade said. Feng Yu wanted to build a good relationship with Kirilenko, so he directly translated the truth. Kirilenko looked at Feng Yu in surprise. Telling me that these things are unsaleable and can be sold at a discount. Does he not want to make money? Friend, this kind of person is definitely a friend. Yes, I want all of these things. Also this, and this. I want all the products from last time. How do you want to match them? It's up to you. Quote. Manager Su, I can help you sell the biscuits, milk powder, etc. How much will you give me this time? This, how much do you want? Manager Su was in a dilemma. This young man is too difficult to deal with. Feng Yu compared the retail price and gave a 20% discount on all the products. Impossible. The price cannot be changed. Manager Su, don't be so stubborn. You are now in charge of your own business. You think we can't find out the purchase price? Also, this time we are buying a lot of things. Quote. No matter how much you buy, it is impossible to be so cheap. How about this, I will give you a 3% discount. Quote. What if we buy 1 million RMB worth of goods? Feng Yu sat on the chair and crossed his legs. How much? 1 million. Quote, that's right. The person behind me is a big boss from the Soviet Union. This time he wants to transport a train's worth of goods back. 1 million RMB, no less. If you have the ability, sell us 1 million RMB worth of goods. If you can't do it, no problem. We will go to other places. Although the goods are not complete, we can still save a lot of money by going to other places. Quote, don't. Other places do not have as complete of goods as our cooperative. You wait, I will make a few calls. I promise to get you 1 million RMB worth of goods. Quote, Manager Su, I will not ask how much you can make from this. But can you lower the price? No problem, I will discuss with them. I promise to give you the cheapest price. We will not cheat our Soviet Union brothers. Feng Yu turned to Kirilenko and told him that Manager Su was contacting the sales staff to guarantee the lowest price. Feng Yu also emphasized that he does not want a single cent this time. No, no, no. My dear Feng, I must pay you. How about 5%? You must guarantee that the goods I buy are of good quality, low price, and accurate quantity. Quote, Kirilenko suddenly realized that he does not want money. How can he not want money? What if he was cheated by Feng Yu? Who can he go to? No, he must give him money and sign a contract with him. If Feng Yu cheated him, he will go to the police. Kirilenko insisted on signing the contract and still wanted to pay Feng Yu for his hard work. Feng Yu could only, reluctantly, agree. But in his heart, he was overjoyed. Since last night, Feng Yu kept telling Kirilenko that this trip was purely for his help and he does not want a single cent. The more Kirilenko talked to Feng Yu, the more suspicious he got. Both of them had only met a few times and were not familiar with each other. Why was Feng Yu willing to help him for free? Kirilenko took the bait and offered to pay Feng Yu. Feng Yu had no choice but to reject the offer. After the contract was signed, Feng Yu calmed down. This trip will only take 2 to 3 days and he will earn 60,000 RMB. More importantly, Kirilenko had expressed his intention to be in this business for a long time. How could Feng Yu not have any other ideas? In the future, there will be a popular industry. This industry was known as a dummy company. That was the middleman. By introducing both parties, the middleman does not need to fork out a single cent. This was why these middlemen were suitable for those who had connections but no money. In the beginning, these middlemen were the second generations with connections. Later, the middlemen grew into a large number of middlemen. To be a good middleman, he must have a rich source of customers and a good supply of goods. Feng Yu must know a lot of people. Did Feng Yu know any businessmen? No, but from today onwards, Feng Yu will have a lot of goods in his hands. These goods were in high demand in the Soviet Union. In this era, speculation and profiteering had not been abolished. Although the planned economy had changed to a market economy, the smart ones were mostly in the coastal areas. For example, China's #1 village, Washi Village. Before the government allowed them to do so, the village's party secretary had secretly set up a factory to produce hardware. Even if the government found out about this, the government had changed its policies. In the end, this village still became a positive example. In Longjiang province, there were not many people who dared to do this business. Moreover, Feng Yu did not intend to do business empty-handed. He wanted to do barter. He would send a batch of goods from China to Kirilenko, and Kirilenko would be responsible for sending some goods back. With these goods in hand, Feng Yu would no longer be doing business empty-handed. How could it be considered as speculation? Real speculation and profiteering referred to taking advantage of opportunities, hoarding, short-selling, adulterating, manipulating prices, and other activities to disrupt the market and reap huge profits. Feng Yu's actions did not count at all. I want more of this. Feng Yu looked at what Kirilenko was pointing at and was stunned. Kirilenko was a big man, but he actually peeled one and put it in his mouth. Isn't this food for children? I want more of this towel and this scarf. I want more of this hair clip too. This sock, it's red, I want more. Feng Yu slowly realized that something was wrong. Why did it seem that all the things Kirilenko wanted were for girls? Brother, are you going to open a store targeting female customers? No, no, no. I am selling to the art troupe. This time, the art troupe is the biggest buyer. Girls like these things. This Kirilenko was really capable. He could even accept the order from the art troupe. Feng Yu was more and more convinced that this trade could last for a long time and bring high profits. Girls like these things. Feng Yu also bought a red hair clip. Li Na seems to like red color. In less than half an hour, all the suppliers, representatives contacted by Manager Su arrived. Everyone was crowded in a 10 square meter office, talking about their advantages. Feng Yu had a headache. Shut up, I am Mr. Kirilenko's representative. You all fill out a form first. Quote. When he was printing the contract, Feng Yu used a piece of white paper to draw some forms. He spent a lot of money to make more than 10 copies. Now, Li Shijiang gave everyone a copy. The form clearly indicated the name of the manufacturer, the nature of the manufacturer, the type of goods, price, quantity, contact information, etc. These are the important steps for Feng Yu to bypass Manager Su in the future. Well, now I will say the type and quantity of the goods I want. You can discuss the price with Manager Su. The name and quantity of the goods were reported. Manager Su took a pen and quickly recorded it. This time, his cooperative had achieved a quarter's worth of revenue. Unfortunately, he didn't see Feng Yu put away those forms. This may be the last money he could earn from Feng Yu. After Manager Su finished talking with them, he sat down with Feng Yu to discuss their discount. Finally, they agreed on a 3% discount, including the transportation of goods to the train station and loading on the train. And all of this, the total price was only 1.02 million RMB. The quantity was decided by Feng Yu and Kirilenko. But after the discount, the price was lower than Feng Yu's plan. There was still a lot of money left. Feng Yu discussed with Kirilenko and asked him, what else do you want? Kirilenko looked around and suddenly stared at the gloves on the counter. Feng Yu understood and discussed with Manager Su. He cleared the inventory of the gloves for Manager Su. It cost him a total of 100,000 RMB. The rest of the money, Feng Yu bought ham sausages according to Kirilenko's plan. After signing the contract with Manager Su, they still followed the old rules. Only the name and quantity of the goods were written on the receipt. The price column was empty. Li Shijiang drove Kirilenko back to the international hotel. When Kirilenko returned, he was carrying a suitcase. He opened the suitcase and took out stacks of rubles. A total of 300,000 RMB was placed on the table. When Manager Su reached out to take it, Feng Yu pushed him away. Manager Su, according to the exchange rate, you still owe us 30,000 RMB. How are you going to convert this money? Quote. Manager Su smiled. He doesn't care. Why do you care so much? Because I also signed a contract to abide by the law. This 30,000 RMB, I need to trouble Manager Su to give me instant noodles. If the quantity is enough, maybe next month, I will come to you to buy instant noodles. Quote. Instant noodles are now in high demand. Feng Yu saw it in the warehouse, but Manager Su did not recommend it to Kirilenko. But at present, the cooperative only has one kind of instant noodles, which is Wifeng brand San Xian noodles. This is an old brand. Before Feng Yu's rebirth, it was still being produced and sold. Due to the exchange rate, I asked them to add some instant noodles. Soak it in boiling water for 5 minutes and add a ham sausage. The taste will be better. Although Kirilenko does not know what instant noodles are, he was very happy to know that his goods have increased. Originally, Kirilenko thought that the instant noodles he bought were only 300,000 rubles. He did not expect there to be more. It seems that signing a contract is good. This way, Feng Yu will be more responsible. Kirilenko decided to give Feng Yu some sweeteners for future business. These are yours. No, no, no. It's too much. Feng Yu looked at the 20,000 rubles in front of him and said righteously. This is what you deserve. We are friends. You should not refuse. I will come back to Bing City after some time. Please continue to help me. Quote. Feng Yu, reluctantly, accepted the 20,000 rubles. Kirilenko is really silly and cute. Bang. Feng Xingtai banged the table. This son of his had skipped school several times and now he was thinking of setting up a company. Do you think it is so easy to set up a private company? Dad, don't worry. We are doing business with the Russians. Now, the government is encouraging us to do business with the Russians. We have such a good location, and if we don't make use of this opportunity, we will lose a lot of money when those businessmen from the south take advantage of this opportunity. Quote. Money, money, money. You only know how to make money. You don't want to attend high school and university. I am paying for your education as to let you have a bright future, not to let you make money. Quote. I also did not say that I will be setting up a company. You are the one setting up the company, and the company is yours. Feng Yu said seriously. He does want to set up a company, but he needs an identification card. He was not 16 years old, and there was no way he could get an identification card. Without an identification card, how can he register a company? I will set up a company. That's right, trading companies. There are a lot of these companies in the South now. The great man also encourages everyone to start their own businesses and contribute to the country's economy. To deal with his parents' age, he must be high profile. Really? Feng Xingtai looked at his wife puzzledly. But Zhang Muhua could only shake her head. She also does not know. Dad, I had told you not to play mahjong at night. You should watch the news more. It is all about the country's affairs. Also, I am not going to Bing City for fun. I am going there for business. I had earned 80,000 RMB this time. Feng Yu said. How much? 80,000 RMB. It will take 2 days to go back and forth. Also, I had an appointment with the other party. He will be coming over to purchase some daily necessities. If we want to make money, we must make use of this opportunity. Don't you want to live in a big house? Don't you want to bring your grandparents over? If you agree to set up a company, we can even afford a 100 square meter house in Bing City. Quote. Feng Yu did not even dare to say that there were many rich people living in a few hundred square meter house for 2 people. Even if he said it, his parents would not believe him. There was still a long way to go to brainwash them. Dad, if you don't agree, I will not have the mood to study. You see, it's almost time for the senior high school entrance examination. Don't waste your time, okay? Feng Yu made another big move. Then, what about our family's land? Feng Xingtai could not help but ask. Feng Yu rolled his eyes. Hire someone. In the future, we won't farm anymore. This land will be rented out to other people. Whoever wants to farm can do it. We'll go to the city and enjoy the life of a city person. Quote. Feng Xingtai turned to look at his wife. What do you think? I don't know either. It's up to you. During this time, Zhang Muhua had been shocked by the conversation between the father and son several times. At the beginning, the two of them said that they would earn a few thousand yuan. Now, they said that they would earn tens of thousands of yuan. Now, they said that they would open a company. Her mind couldn't keep up. But she believed in her son. He was an educated man and had a lot of experience. He was definitely not wrong. Besides, would her son lie to her? Feng Xingtai gritted his teeth and nodded. Okay, I'll open a company. If you can't get into a high school in the city, I'll shut down this company immediately. Okay, I'll open a company. Feng Xingtai was speechless. After convincing his parents, Feng Yu returned to school. It was almost time for the senior high school entrance examination, and he had been studying hard. Although he had more than 20 years of experience, he had only done investments. He had never done any other business before. He wanted to enter a university and learn management knowledge. At the same time, he could get to know some classmates and find talents from them. He wanted to build a strong foundation for his financial empire. When Feng Yu was studying hard, Feng Xingtai arrived at Bing City with his identity card. Li Shijiang had received a phone call and was waiting for his future father-in-law at the train station. He borrowed a car and drove Feng Xingtai to the Trade and Industry Bureau. In this era, it was too easy to register a company. It was not as strict as in the future and the process was also very fast. Li Shijiang had already inquired about the procedures and brought Feng Xingtai around. He signed and made a copy of the identity card. Anyway, all the procedures will be completed in a day. Tomorrow, he will be able to get all the documents and the company can be officially listed. Uncle, come and look. This is our Taiwan Trading's office. Although it was said to be an office, it was actually a rented warehouse near the railway station. The warehouse was renovated into 2 floors. The upper floor was built according to Feng Yu's design. The office, dormitory and other small rooms were annexed. The rest of the space was empty. The first batch of employees were the young men hired by Li Shijiang to collect treasury bonds. They no longer need to collect treasury bonds every day. Ever since the Treasury Bonds pilot program was opened, the price of Treasury bonds had been rising. For example, the price of Shenyang Treasury bonds had risen from 100 RMB to 101.30 RMB. Just by selling Treasury bonds between the 2 cities, the income was more than 1,000 RMB. There was no need to earn money from running errands. Feng Yu said that these few men were useful and asked one of them to follow Li Shijiang to Shenyang to sell Treasury bonds. The rest of them were to tidy up the warehouse. According to Feng Yu, The warehouse will soon be filled with goods and everyone's income will double. Originally, Feng Yu and Li Shijiang had a 1:1 investment ratio of 50-50. But Li Shijiang knew that the reason why the company could make money was all because of Feng Yu. He was just an errand boy. Therefore, Li Shijiang was too embarrassed to do so. Furthermore, Feng Yu's investment this time was too big. He had invested almost all of his capital. Li Shijiang was reluctant to part with the treasury bonds business. In the end, the company's registered capital was 200,000 RMB. Feng Xingtai accounted for 90%, which was 180,000 RMB. Li Shijiang accounted for 10%, which was 20,000 RMB. The general manager was Feng Xingtai. Feng Yu and Li Shijiang were the deputy managers and the rest were the salesmen. If it was not for the 20,000 rubles that Kirilenko had given him, the treasury bonds business would not be able to continue with the 200,000 RMB. Now, it does not matter. After deducting the 200,000 RMB, rent, renovation and other expenses, there was still 100,000 RMB left to sell treasury bonds. Every 2 days, Li Shijiang could earn more than 1,000 RMB. Feng Yu and Li Shijiang had an agreement. Li Shijiang had been busy with the treasury bonds business. So, even if Li Shijiang refused, the income should be split in half. After Feng Yu had completed his senior high school entrance examination, he will come and help him. Li Shijiang did not want so much. Initially, his family did not contribute much and the one who came up with the idea was Feng Yu. Every time he made money from Kirilenko, Feng Yu would give him a share. If it was not for Li Shijiang's refusal, Feng Yu would have given him more. Later on, Feng Yu thought that it does not matter. Anyway, when he makes a lot of money in the future, he will not forget his brother-in-law's family. In the future, they will be his family. When Feng Xingtai heard Li Shijiang telling him that his family had invested 180,000 RMB in this company, he would have fallen to the ground if he did not hold the wall for support. His son's business is getting bigger and bigger. In the blink of an eye, it was the end of June. It was also the day of Longjiang Province's high school entrance exams. The high school entrance exams were not as crazy as the future years. Parents would wait outside the classroom and pass towels and ice water to the students. Especially in this small farm, not many people would notice. But the leaders of the farm and the school were very concerned about the high school entrance exams. The more students that got into high schools and technical secondary schools, the more credit the leaders and teachers would get. Firstly, the school's cafeteria food had become more luxurious and cheaper. Because the first and second years of the school were on holiday, there were fewer people. Even the food tasted better. This was Feng Yu's biggest impression of the school after the high school entrance exams. As for the exams, it was incomparable to the future years. Feng Yu had studied all the way to university in his previous life. After graduation, he became a manager and had to take the exam. The competition was more intense and the atmosphere was more serious. After 3 consecutive days of exams, Feng Yu felt that he had done well. When the teachers asked him to fill in his application form, Feng Yu chose the high schools in the city. His first choice was the best high school in the city. Because of Feng Yu's influence, his class had a strong learning atmosphere and had performed well. Feng Yu knew that many of those who had applied for technical secondary schools in his previous life were now applying for high schools. Even if they could not go to the city, it was also good to study in the county or the police station. Feng Yu, how was your exam? Li Na suddenly came over and asked. She was still wearing the red hair clip that Feng Yu had bought for her. But this hair clip was only worn in school. Not bad. The high school in the city should not be a problem. What about you? Feng Yu snatched the apple from Li Na's hands and did not care that Li Na had taken a bite. He stuffed the apple into his mouth and ate happily. Li Na did not say anything. She was used to this kind of thing. My exam was also not bad. How did you fill in your application form? Let me see. Li Na whispered. She wanted to go to the same high school as Feng Yu and enter the same university in the future. She cannot think about it. Li Na also filled in the same 3 high schools as Feng Yu. Seeing Feng Yu stretching his neck over to take a look, he quickly covered his mouth. When Dongjun suddenly came over. Li Na, you and Feng Yu applied for the same university. How did you know? Li Na panicked. Was she discovered? I guessed it. But now, I am sure. Wen Dongjun said. Li Na blushed. Feng Yu pushed Wen Dongjun and said to Li Na, ignore him. I will go to the city with Dongjun 2 days later. Do you want to come? Quote. Going to the city. Li Na's eyes lit up, but when she thought that her parents would never agree, her eyes dimmed again. I won't go. You two go ahead. I still have something to do. Feng Yu was also disappointed. This semester, both of them had been studying together and fooling around. Also, Li Na's attitude towards him had changed drastically. How could Feng Yu not feel it? Furthermore, Li Na was already very pretty. She was the campus belle. If she dressed up a little, she would be even prettier. Feng Yu was sure that if he made a move, he would be able to bring Li Na to the forest in less than 3 days. Everyone in the class knew that Feng Yu and Li Na were dating. Both of them did not admit it, but they also did not deny it. Teacher Sun also knew about it, but he did not stop it. During puberty, it was normal to have some budding. When they reach high school, they will separate. After Li Na left, Feng Yu and Wen Dongjun handed in their application forms and returned to their dormitory to pack up. What if you and Li Na could not get into the same school? Aren't you afraid that Uncle Feng will give you a beating if he finds out that you are dating her? Wen Dongjun asked while packing up. Feng Yu. Oh. Wen Dongjun panicked. What do you mean by, oh? Both of us will definitely get into the best high school. You too. Me. Get into the best high school in the city. Stop joking. I am not sure if I can get into the high schools in the city. I should still be able to get into the high schools in the county. Wen Dongjun knew his own standards. Although Wen Dongjun had been working hard this semester, but compared to Feng Yu who was crazy in class, Wen Dongjun was still a far cry. Don't worry, I have a way. You pack up first. I will go for a run. Quote. Feng Yu came to the school's field. Li Na was already waiting for him. Feng Yu would come to the field to jog every day. Li Na was also dragged along by Feng Yu. But today, Feng Yu was not here to jog. He pulled Li Na and sat on the field. He took out a small mirror from his pocket and passed it to Li Na. This is for you. The mirror was ordinary, but Li Na liked it very much. She looked at the red hair clip on her head in the mirror. What do you want? I will ask Dongjun to bring it back for you when I go to Bing City. Ask him to bring it back. You are not coming back. Quote. I will be back next month. I still have something to do in Bing City. You don't have to worry about high school. We will still be together. Quote. What if I don't do well? There is no, what if? I have arranged everything. You have arranged everything. How are you going to arrange it? Li Na does not believe him. Gifts. The vice principal of this school is my brother-in-law's father's comrade. My brother-in-law helped him a little. He exchanged some foreign currency, treasury bonds, and also gave him some cigarettes and alcohol. In short, both of us will definitely get into the best high school in the city. Feng Yu said casually. The relationship between these people was very complicated. Li Na was confused. You are giving gifts to the principal. How can you do this? Li Na said angrily. Getting into high school is based on one's ability. If it is all about gifts, then it is too unfair. Feng Yu looked at Li Na. She was wearing a plain yellow dress with a white lotus embroidered on the neckline. The breeze was blowing, and the flowers were swaying. Feng Yu looked up and down carefully. Li Na blushed and slowly lowered her head. Her heart was mixed with happiness and shyness. Her hands were twisted into a ball. She was obviously nervous. Li Na was about to tell Feng Yu not to look at her, but Feng Yu said, I'm lying to you. My sister is not married yet. How can there be a brother-in-law? Besides, with our results, it is only natural for us to get into the best high school. Quote. Li Na stared at him and lightly punched Feng Yu. Then she smiled and said, the lotus pond beside the hospital is about to bloom. I go there every summer to play. It is very beautiful, you must go and see. Also, yesterday I saw a butterfly on my window. It is so big and beautiful. Li Na chattered about the happiness in her life. When Feng Yu was about to reach out to hold her hand, Wen Dongjun ran over. Xiao Yu, Uncle Feng is here to pick us up. He is at the dormitory. Li Na hurriedly stood up. Feng Yu, I am going home. See you next time. Feng Yu's outstretched hand stopped in midair and stared at Wen Dongjun. Will you die if you say half a minute later? Li Na returned to the classroom and carried her school bag. She ran towards the school gate. From afar, she saw Feng Yu loading his luggage. She waved at him and ran back home. That night, Wen Deguang came to Feng Yu's house. He heard from his son that Feng Yu's brother-in-law could help his son get into the best high school in the city. He immediately came over to confirm. Feng Xingtai was stunned. Xiao Li really had this ability. But when he saw his son winking at him, he could only agree and say that he will do it. After Wen Deguang left, Feng Xingtai immediately turned hostile. He raised his feather duster and asked Feng Yu what was going on. I am looking for a companion. Maybe my sister will move out after she gets married next year. I can't possibly live alone in Bing City. Can you all rest assured? Quote. Looking at his son's angry look, Feng Xingtai really wanted to beat him up. But what his son said made sense. He was also worried about his daughter going to school alone. His daughter will eventually get married. Xiao Li can do it. Feng Xingtai did not believe his son's words. It is already done. Now, it is the principal who is in charge. That vice principal had already passed the note to the recruitment office. Don't look at me like that. When did your son ever lie to anyone? Quote. When you were 4 years old, you said that water was spilled on the bed. When you were 6 years old, you broke Uncle Li's cherry tree. You said it was the wind that broke it. When you were 8 years old. Enough, Dad. You are the one who picked me up, right? Feng Yu was speechless. His father was trying to dig up his dark history. He must stop him. He was a genius. In the future, he will be a legend. He will be someone that everyone wants to learn from. Someone must write a biography about him. He must make his father forget about these things. If these things were written in a book, it would be too embarrassing. The next morning, Feng Yu carried his backpack and went with Wen Dongjun. They took a bus to the farm and then boarded a bus to the city. Here, Xiao Yu. Li Shijiang stood outside the human wall and waved. Brother Li, this is my childhood friend, Wen Dongjun. Dongjun, this is Brother Li. He is my sister's boyfriend. Quote. Nice to meet you, Brother Li. You too. Let's go. The car is in front. When they boarded the jeep, Wen Dongjun immediately said excitedly, Brother Li, you can even afford a jeep. Does that mean everyone in the city can afford one? Li Shijiang said awkwardly, not really. Only a few people have cars in the city. Most of them take the public bus. I borrowed this car from a friend. He works in the city's bus service. This car is basically obsolete. Other than going to the countryside, he never uses it. I just give him 2 packs of cigarettes every time. But I heard that this batch of cars is going to be phased out and they're going to be sold at a low price. I was just about to buy one. Quote. Feng Yu's eyes brighten up. Brother Li, the city is going to eliminate a batch of cars. Is there a Volga? Quote. Once this broken jeep started moving, it would release dust everywhere. It was also extremely cold in the winter. The Volga was so nice. That was a sedan. There is no Volga, but there is Lada, produced in the Soviet Union. In the 1980s, there were a lot of Lada in Longjiang. It was used as a taxi in Beijing. There is also a Santana. The prices are not too high. Buy a Lada if it is not more than 20,000 RMB. Use the company's money. You can drive it and use it to pick up customers. I don't like Santana. Didn't you say that you need the company's money? Use it to buy a car. What's there to be afraid of? Someone will be sending the money over soon. Feng Yu and Li Shijiang were talking about buying a car. Wen Dongjun was stunned. What the heck? Buy a car if it is not more than 20,000 RMB. That was 20,000 RMB. He had never seen so much money in his life. Also, what are they talking about? We are here. The owner of this restaurant's ancestor was a chef from the former Qing dynasty. His lamb is very delicious. Both of you go in and order first. I will go and fetch your sister. Quote. The last time Wen Dongjun came to the city was a few years ago. This time, the place had changed a lot. The clothes worn by the people here were very beautiful. This restaurant was too big. It could fit more than 10 tables. It should be enough for a wedding in the district. Waiter, order. Give me this lamb chop, double-cooked pork, beef, 8 treasures chicken, sweet and sour fish. These are all meat dishes. It's too greasy. Also, give me a fresh radish and 4 cans of Zhonglibao. That's all. Quote. Feng Yu ordered a lot of dishes in one breath. The waiter and Wen Dongjun were shocked. There were so many dishes. They might not be able to finish them, and these dishes were not cheap. A table of dishes would cost at least a few dozen RMB. Feng Yu saw the waiter looking at him. He waved his hand and said, My brother-in-law is driving to fetch my sister. Hurry and send the menu to the kitchen. When the dishes are served, they should be arriving. The waiter looked at Feng Yu and felt that he was not a scammer. He nodded and went to serve the dishes. Xiao Yu, you ordered so many expensive dishes. Your brother-in-law will be angry. Wen Dongjun whispered. This is nothing. My brother-in-law is rich. You don't have to worry. He will be angry if the dishes are too little. When the dishes were served, Li Shijiang and Feng Danying arrived. They did not say that they had ordered too much and asked Wen Dongjun to start eating. These two kids must be starving. Feng Yu and Wen Dongjun did not stand on ceremony and swept the dishes on the table. The two of them were still growing. Young boys could eat the most, but they finished all the dishes on the table in a blink of an eye. Feng Yu was drinking his soda and chatting with Li Shijiang. Brother Li, are you still going to Shencheng these few days? Yes. You let those kids rest and still pay them. They only know how to play poker every day. Li Shijiang said. The job of running errands to exchange small denomination treasury bonds was almost done. Now, the only thing left was to resell the bonds. Feng Yu had asked these young men to work at Taiwan trading. But now, other than cleaning up the warehouse and doing renovations, there was nothing else to do. Including food and accommodation, the monthly salary was 700 RMB. The money that Li Shijiang earned from running to Shencheng must be used here. Brother Li, these will be our future team. Since I'm free these few days, I'll train them. I promise that they will help us earn more money in the future. Feng Yu said. Feng Yu was in urgent need of those intermediary talents from his previous life. If they had the goods, they could sell them at a high price. They knew what was lacking in a certain place and what was selling there. They also knew where to get what they wanted to buy. But in Bing City, these people only need a month of training. If they really want to be useful, they still need to see if they are suitable for this job. Wen Dongjun was dumbfounded. Brother Li can go to Shencheng often. Brother Li hired people, paid them and let them play poker every day. Also, what did Feng Yu say? Train others. Alright, I believe you. Let's go to the mall. Both of you are going to high school and need to buy some new clothes. Feng Yu said. Li Shijiang also knew that Old Russian will be coming again in a few days. At that time, he will surely make a fortune. When they reached the mall, Wen Dongjun's eyes opened wide. This mall was so big and the clothes inside were so beautiful. There were so many clothes sellers. It was even livelier than the farmer's market. There were even people selling toy guns. They were made to look like real guns. Li Shijiang brought them to Bing City for 2 days. He did not even go to Shencheng. Wen Dongjun's eyes were opened. The city was better than the farm. He must come to the city to study. Wen Dongjun returned to the district, but Feng Yu did not leave. The company had just opened, and Feng Yu still needed to make decisions. For example, the company's regulations. Before Feng Yu could come up with 108 regulations, Li Shijiang ran over with a telegram. The telegram was in Russian, and it must be from Kirilenko. Ah, this time it was urgent, and the amount of purchases had increased. Just when Feng Yu was thinking about when his company could open for business, someone came to deliver money to him. Feng Yu went to a post office. In this era, not everyone could make international calls. The staff at the post office saw a teenager making international calls. He thought Feng Yu was making fun of him and was about to scold him when he saw Feng Yu taking 2 banknotes and dialing Kirilenko's number. The staff at the post office had just seen the banknotes, and it was real. Before he could tell Feng Yu the price, Feng Yu started speaking Russian. Only then did the staff have a whole new level of respect for him. He was actually calling Old Harry. Whose child was this? Old Harry's words sounded so good. While he was on the phone, he was also jotting down the list of items on a piece of paper. 5 minutes later, Feng Yu hung up. Feng Yu had wanted to leave without taking the extra money, but he was stopped by the staff. 5 RMB per minute, and you called for 5.5 minutes. 30 RMB. Feng Yu sighed at the high toll and took out another 20 RMB. He still needs to make a few more calls to save him the trouble of looking for a phone booth. After the phone calls, Feng Yu rode his bicycle back to the company. He sat in his newly renovated office and asked the rest to stand at the door. He pretended to be busy. Less than 10 minutes later, someone stood at the entrance and asked loudly, "Is this Taiwan Trading?" "Yes, who are you looking for?" "I am looking for Manager Feng. I am Wang Hua, the sales representative of Three Brothers Canning Factory." "Oh, another canning factory representative. This is the 3rd representative today. Okay, you can go up. Go up the stairs and turn left. The door says manager's office." Quote. Wang Hua began to mutter in his heart. There are 3 cannery salesmen today. In that case, the other party wasn't in a hurry to get the canned food, or he had already bought it. In that case, could he close the deal this time? Wang Hua went upstairs and knocked on the door of the office. He only opened the door when he heard someone asking him to come in. Looking at the person sitting behind the desk, Feng Yu understood why the voice sounded so familiar. Wasn't this the young man who helped the Russians to buy things at the cooperative? He was the manager of Taiwan Trading. Isn't he a little too young? However, as a salesman, he had traveled extensively for many years and had seen bosses younger than Feng Yu. To put it bluntly, he was a rich second generation with connections. Who was this young man's father? Was it a leader from the city or the province? Manager Feng, nice to meet you. I am Wang Hua from Three Brothers Canning Factory. The canned fruits produced by our canning factory sell well all over the country. Last year, we even won the XX Gold Award in XX Province. Quote. Feng Yu curled his lips. Provincial level awards were not very valuable. Furthermore, the gold award that Wang Hua mentioned was exposed in the future. It was a few businessmen who set up this award to make themselves look good. This kind of trick had been used many times in the future. But now, it still sounded so cool. Gold award, how can the quality of the products be bad? Oh, it's Three Brothers Canning Factory. How did you know that we will be collecting a batch of canned fruits? Wang Hua was stunned for a moment. Didn't you ask someone to call me? If not, then who was the one who called me? Half an hour ago, Wang Hua received a message from the hotel's owner. Someone left a message saying that Taiwan Trading will be collecting canned fruits. The address was even given. Who was the one who left the message? But who cares who it was? Anyway, they just need to buy the canned fruits from our factory. My friend told me. Really, you have a lot of friends. But we had just talked to 2 canning factories. Their prices are very low, and I am ready to sign the contract. You are too late. Let's work together next time. Feng Yu picked up the empty teacup on the table. Wang Hua panicked. Mr. Feng, our factory's canned fruits taste good, and the goods are in Bing City. Our warehouse is not far from here. You can go there to take a look. Also, our prices are very low, and our canned fruits are selling well in the market. Quote. Wang Hua was so anxious that he even used honorifics on Feng Yu, who was much younger than him. Really, but those 2 factories are also selling their canned fruits. Furthermore, I had already agreed, and their prices are so low. Feng Yu said the word, low, again. Our canned fruits are cheaper. 3 RMB per bottle. 3 RMB, that's too expensive. Those 2 factories are selling it for about 2 RMB. Although Feng Yu does not know the cost of canned fruits, he knew that it would not be more than 2 RMB. If it was sold in the shops, it would be at least 4 to 5 RMB. Our quantity is higher, 1.5 RMB per bottle, and they are selling 1 RMB per bottle. Forget about it, it's all soup inside, and the real pulp is the same. Okay, I will contact you next time. Feng Yu interrupted Wang Hua's bragging. Mr. Feng, we can lower the price to 2.6 RMB per bottle. This is already the cheapest we can offer. Any lower will not make up for the cost. Wang Hua had seen Feng Yu's generosity when he helped the Russians buy canned fruits. If this deal was successful, he would be able to complete his quarterly target. I will buy some for 2.20 RMB. 2.20 RMB is too low. 2.40 RMB. Even the cooperative will not sell it at such a low price. I guarantee that these are fresh canned fruits from this month. In this era, there were not many additives, and the shelf life of canned fruits was even shorter. Many unscrupulous merchants would repackage expired canned fruits and sell them to other provinces. Anyway, this was a one-time deal. It doesn't matter how much he earns. Feng Yu frowned and said, 2.40 RMB. How many bottles do you have in your warehouse? 500 RMB. Feng Yu shook his head. That is still not enough. Wang Hua was overjoyed. I can get the goods from the factory immediately. It will arrive in 3 days. How much more do you want? Even 1,000 bottles is not a problem. Quote. Then send another 500 bottles over. I want peach, hawthorn, assorted fruits. I will pay the next day after the shipment. Is there any problem? No problem. Absolutely no problem. I will contact our factory director now. General Manager Feng, should we sign the contract first? Quote. Wang Hua took out a contract from his bag. The quantity, unit price, type, amount, etc. were all blank. Wang Hua started to fill in the contract in front of Feng Yu. Feng Yu looked at the contract carefully. There were very few clauses on the contract, but it was written clearly. Both parties will have to pay double the compensation if they breach the contract. He smiled, opened the drawer, took out the official seal, and stamped it. Then, he signed Feng Xingtai's name. If the other party was cheating, Feng Yu can also refuse to acknowledge this contract. Okay, go and prepare. The latest shipment will be in 5 days. If the sales are good, I will buy more from you next month. Oh, thank you, General Manager Feng. I am staying at Jiaxing Hotel 201. This is the hotel number. Call me if you need anything. After Wang Hua left, Feng Yu smiled. The last time he bought canned food from the cooperative, it was 2.90 RMB a bottle. Now it was 2.40 RMB. That Manager Su made a lot of money. Not bad. From now on, Manager Su will not be able to make money from him. After that, many salesmen from different factories came to Feng Yu to discuss business deals. Some of them were the contact details Feng Yu had remembered, and some were the contact details Feng Yu had asked Li Shijiang to get from his comrades in the cooperative. All of these people, without exception, rushed to Feng Yu when they heard that a company wanted to sell their products in bulk. Feng Yu used his glib tongue and some tricks to fool these salesmen. Not only the prices were low, but most of them agreed to pay the next day after loading the trucks. Only 3 factories wanted to pay a down payment first. These were all state-owned factories, and without a down payment, they must not do it. Down payment? Feng Yu laughed. All of these were deposits. Down payment was different from down payment. Down payment was a deposit, and if one party were to breach the contract, the other party would have to return double the amount of the down payment. There was no need for any compensation. As for down payment, it meant that the contract had been set. If the contract was breached, the other party would have to pay double the total amount. This was a lot of money, and Feng Yu would not fall for it. Feng Yu only knew what Kirilenko wanted. He was not sure about the quantity. If the quantity was not enough, he believed that these people would be able to accept Feng Yu's orders in the future. They would also not ask Feng Yu to pay double the down payment. Even if there was a compensation, Feng Yu could afford it. If it was a down payment, then Feng Yu must pay the full amount. Even if Kirilenko does not want it, Feng Yu had to buy it and keep it in his inventory. If not, Kirilenko would have to pay double the compensation, and Feng Yu would be bankrupted. These salesmen were surprised by Feng Yu's eloquence. They did not expect him to be so mature and not easy to fool. But they still agreed to follow the new contract provided by Feng Yu. The terms of the contract were very clear, and both parties had clear responsibilities. The final payment date was also written on the contract. Don't think that in this era, the salesmen from the state-owned factories were very honest. They will also ask for compensation and will stop at your door. Of course, going to court wasn't popular in this era, so they were even more careful. If they didn't see the money, they definitely wouldn't agree to load the truck. The reason why Feng Yu made sure to pay within a day after loading the truck was to leave a reliable impression on them. After 2 or 3 times of cooperation, the payment could be deferred. Kirilenko doesn't even need to visit Feng Yu. He can just give Kirilenko a call and tell him what goods he wants and how much he wants. Feng Yu will send it to him, and Kirilenko can pay after receiving the goods. Feng Yu only needs to pay a deposit. At that time, Feng Yu's international trade will be officially established, and he will be able to do big business with a small amount of funds. On the 3rd day, all the goods were delivered to Bing City. Some of the factories, warehouses were not big enough, so they were directly sent to Taiwan Trading's warehouse. During this period of time, Li Shijiang was still trading treasury bonds frequently. Although the treasury bond prices in Bing City had increased, the treasury bond prices in Shen City were higher. Feng Yu let Li Shijiang do this business. At the end of the year, when the other cities open up the treasury bond trading, this business will usher in a short period of time. But it was too tiring to do this every day. If it was Feng Yu, he would never do it. The last time he went to Bing City, he almost died of exhaustion. Also, the smell on the train was too suffocating. Feng Danying also grumbled about Li Shijiang a few times. Li Shijiang and Feng Yu spent less time seeing each other. Li Shijiang just smiled. Feng Yu had said that this business can only last until the middle of next year. After most of the cities open up the treasury bond trading, the prices of treasury bonds between cities will stabilize. While there is still a price difference, they should hurry to make money. After the Lunar New Year, they will not be able to make money anymore. Li Shijiang also received good news. His comrade said that the city had decided to get rid of these old cars and had already purchased new cars. But the city said that the old cars will be disposed of, at least 3 cars, and will not be sold to individuals. There were also no invoices. Feng Yu raised his eyebrows and said, "What's wrong with this? Isn't it just buying at least 3 cars? Then we will buy 3 cars. 1 Jeep and 2 Lada cars. When the time comes, we can just sell 1 Lada. I don't believe that such a good car will not be sold." Quote, "There will be no problem in maintaining the cars that were discarded from the city. Also, there will be no problems with the brakes. Also, the inside of the car will be clean. After some maintenance, the car can be sold as new." Xiao Yu, 3 cars are very expensive. The Jeep is still okay, slightly more than 10,000 RMB. The Lada is at least 40,000 to 50,000 RMB. 3 cars will cost more than 100,000 RMB. Do the company still have enough money? Feng Yu thought that everything is cheap now. But he forgot that cars now are more expensive than in the future. Especially the imported cars. They are ridiculously expensive. But the company still has enough money. After negotiating a deal worth more than 1 million RMB, Feng Yu only paid 60,000 RMB as a deposit. As for the payment after loading the cars, the company still has more than 100,000 RMB in their accounts. Still, we are not short of money. You can drive a Jeep in the summer and a Lada in the winter. These are the cars that the company gives to the leaders. Brother Li, get someone to help me get a driver's license." Quote, "You know how to drive?" Li Shijiang looked at Feng Yu in surprise. "PFF'd, I know how to drive a car. In our village, everyone has a tractor at home. Don't worry, I will show you my driving skills." Quote, "If Uncle Feng finds out about us leaving 2 cars behind, it will not be good." Li Shijiang hesitated. "If you and I don't tell him, how will he know? We earn money to spend. Don't you want to drive a Lada?" Quote, "Feng Yu is a person who likes to enjoy life. If he can drive a good car, he must drive a good car. It is smooth and comfortable. If he was not short of money, he would have bought an imported Mercedes-Benz or a BMW. Okay, I will talk to my comrade and see how much it will cost to buy 3 cars. He is on the bus shift. I will ask him to pick 3 good cars for me." Quote, "Brother Li, invite him out for dinner and give him a red packet. Don't be stingy, give him 100 RMB. 100 RMB. That's more than a month's salary." But Li Shijiang gritted his teeth and nodded. He must not be stingy. Li Shijiang acted quickly. This was because Taiwan Trading was the first company that approached him to buy cars, and they wanted 2 Lada and 1 Jeep. The city government also gave Li Shijiang a low price and allowed him to pick the cars in person. There were more than 10 cars, and most of them were unused. The city will not waste the cars and will not give them to the villages. Just like now, Mingming City had replaced the cars with new cars, and there were not enough cars in the villages. They sold the cars and did not give them to the villages. Li Shijiang's comrade had told him that there were 2 Lada that was at least 70% new and 1 Jeep that was at least 80% new. These cars were too dirty and no one was using them. That's why they were eliminated along with the rest of the cars. Li Shijiang followed the color and pretended to open the hood of the car. But in fact, he was looking at the markings his comrade had given him. This car, and this car. I want all of them. Where do I pay for the cars? When Feng Yu was taking his afternoon nap upstairs, he was woken up by the sound of a car horn. He went downstairs and saw that all 3 cars had been driven back. Finally, there was a car to sit in. Feng Yu had enough of this broken Jeep. In this era, driving a Lada was like driving an imported sports car in his previous life. You can just drive around the streets casually and people will turn their heads to look at you. Let's go for a test drive. When Kirilenko walked out of the airport, he saw his country's Lada car. He was very proud of himself. Look at how popular our cars are in Huasha. Kirilenko did not expect Feng Yu to alight from the backseat when the Lada car's door opened. Feng changed his car. He had changed to a Chinese car just for me. This friend of his is really nice. Feng Yu did not know that his actions had increased Kirilenko's impression of him. Only Feng Yu knew that Kirilenko only wanted to be more comfortable. Brother Qi, welcome to Huasha again. I had prepared a banquet for you. The best erguotu. Kirilenko was stunned by Feng Yu's greeting. But when he heard there was erguotu, he smiled. After a big drink, Kirilenko got high again. Feng Yu explained to him that Kirilenko was Kirilenko's brother. This made Kirilenko even more excited. He held Feng Yu's hand and asked Feng Yu to stay with him at the International Hotel. But this time, Feng Yu rejected. You can sleep in the same room, but I can't. The previous time, I did not sleep for half a night, and I have dark circles under my eyes. When I can fart, grind my teeth, snore, and talk in my sleep, I will sleep in the same room. Let's see who will lose sleep first. The next day, when Kirilenko woke up and went downstairs, he saw Li Shijing waiting for him at the entrance. Kirilenko got into the car and was brought to an unfamiliar place. This place looks like a warehouse. When Kirilenko opened the door, he saw a pile of goods in high demand in the Soviet Union. These were the goods he wanted to buy in China. What is the meaning of this? Feng had prepared everything for me. Kirilenko heard a familiar voice from upstairs. It should be Feng arguing with someone. When Kirilenko went upstairs, he saw a man storming out of the room, and Feng was shouting in his room. Feng Yu smiled when he saw Kirilenko. Brother Ki, is it too troublesome for me to call you over so early? Feng, I heard you arguing with someone. What happened? Feng Yu pretended to be in a dilemma. Nothing. It's just that the cooperative is not willing to sell to us anymore. Their leader has changed. I've contacted some other suppliers, but the price hasn't come down because it's our first time working together. Quote. Feng, you had worked so hard for me. I can understand. It's not a problem to charge you more. No, I won't let you suffer a loss. I will definitely get you the same price as last time. Do you see the goods below? They are all the same price as last time. I don't want any of the high prices. I can't let you suffer a loss. Feng Yu said fiercely. This time, it's Kirilenko's turn to be embarrassed. He rubbed his hands and said, Feng, my brother, let me tell you the truth. Actually, I can still make a lot of money by shipping these goods back to China. Therefore, it's not a problem for the price to be higher. Quote. Feng Yu casually said, how much can you earn? This thing is so expensive here, and you still have to transport it. It's good enough if you can earn 10%. No, no, no. You don't understand us. Our side needs these things. That's why my earnings should be about 40%. Quote. Damn, Feng Yu was speechless. Feng Yu had guessed that Kirilenko would earn a lot, but he did not expect it to be so much. The last time Kirilenko bought 300,000 rubles worth of goods, the profits should be 120,000 rubles. Feng Yu also suspected that Kirilenko was talking about pure profits. After deducting the transportation fees and the intermediary fees to Feng Yu, this business was too good. Feng Yu suddenly remembered that the Soviet Union had been dragged into the Star Wars program by the US President Ronald Reagan. The entire Soviet Union's production and funds were used for military, space technology, etc., and very little was invested into the people's livelihood. The Soviet Union's economy was about to collapse. It was not long before the first country in history to leave the Soviet Union. The Soviet Union's trade with the Soviet Union was very promising. Other than the military industry, the Soviet Union lacked everything else. For example, the Soviet Union could acquire some machinery parts from the Soviet Union. There were also many industrial products that were not available in China. If Kirilenko could acquire these products, it would not be a dream to earn a lot of money in a short period of time. But it was not easy to get the import and export permits. Feng Yu's trading company did not have any import permits. He did get an export permit, but there were some unreasonable clauses. For example, if there were foreign currencies in his account, he could only withdraw RMB from the bank. What about foreign currencies? The foreign currencies were taken away by the government. In this era, earning foreign currencies was an important task, and the banking regulations were very strict. Exports were allowed to earn foreign currencies. But if you want to import, you need to pay with foreign currencies. This was very troublesome. That's why it was easy to get the export permits. Other than state-owned enterprises, import permits were not issued. Only those coastal cities could import goods from Hong Kong. The inland areas were still under lockdown. Feng Yu took out a Russian list and passed it to Kirilenko. Brother Ki, take a look at the goods on this list. What do you want? Tell me after you look through the list. I will help you calculate the lowest price. I will not let you suffer any losses. Quote. Kirilenko was so touched that tears welled up in his eyes. This was the true meaning of international friendship. Look, I had only mentioned it over the phone, and they had written it down. They even helped me to contact them. This saved me a lot of trouble. On this list, there were not only the goods that Kirilenko mentioned over the phone. There were also some goods that were not mentioned over the phone, but were very cheap in China. Kirilenko looked at the list and filled in the numbers. There was nothing on this list that he did not want. Kirilenko sat on a chair and drank his tea. Feng Yu took out a calculator and calculated the prices in less than 5 minutes. Brother Qi, based on my calculations, the lowest price to transport your goods to the train should be 520,000 rubles. But I am confident that I can help you negotiate for the last 20,000 rubles. But it will take about 3 days. Quote, 3 days. I had booked the train the day after tomorrow. How about this? I can accept whatever price you can get. This time, I only brought 500,000 rubles with me. You can reduce the price of some of the goods. Quote. Feng Yu narrowed his eyes. Something was wrong. This Kirilenko was not as naive as he looked. When I was chatting with him just now, I had only asked him about the prices, and he remembered it all. The total price of the goods he purchased was exactly 500,000 rubles. Was this calculated by him? But no matter how smart you are not as familiar with China's prices as me. Go and ask around, the other party's prices should be higher. The goods that Kirilenko purchased, according to Feng Yu's purchase price, were only 430,000 rubles. Feng Yu would get a 14% profit. Brother Qi, don't worry. Leave this to me. I promise you that I will get you to 500,000 rubles. Feng Yu said and gave Li Shijiang a look. Li Shijiang said something to Feng Yu loudly, but Feng Yu seemed to reject him. Kirilenko was confused, but when he saw Li Shijiang twirling his fingers, he understood that he was asking for money. Feng, this is 20,000 rubles. This is for your hard work. Is it enough? Brother Qi, I don't need so much, fine. I will accept it. Don't worry. I promise that from tomorrow onwards, part of the goods will be loaded onto the train. Quote. It was great doing business with Kirilenko. The next day, Feng Yu asked his men to load the goods from the warehouse into the trucks. After that, he argued with the suppliers, representatives in front of Kirilenko. He looks like he is trying to lower the prices for Kirilenko. But in fact, Feng Yu is negotiating with them to pay after the goods reach Moscow. A few of them gritted their teeth and agreed. Most of them, of course, quarreled with Feng Yu. This was the first time they were cooperating, and the contract was written in black and white. They had to follow the contract. Thus, they quarreled fiercely. Seeing this, Kirilenko felt that Feng Yu was really a good friend. He didn't hesitate to offend his own compatriots for Feng Yu. He even thought that the next time he came, he would definitely bring some gifts for Feng Yu. However, he didn't know that he was fooled by Feng Yu again. Killing 2 birds with 1 stone. I'll note down those who agree, and we'll definitely work together more in the future. Those who don't agree, I'll wait for someone else to replace them to kick them out. On the 3rd day, all the goods were loaded into the truck. Kirilenko handed a large bag of cash to Feng Yu. Kirilenko also said that it was not convenient to bring so much money back and forth, but it was too troublesome to set up an international account. It was not convenient for him to withdraw money from Huasha. Feng Yu immediately said that he would think of a way. In the future, when Kirilenko sends him the money, he will help Kirilenko to buy the goods. Kirilenko hesitated for a while and said that he needed to think about it. He would come back next month. There was too much money involved, and Kirilenko had to be careful. The next time he came, he would bring a few people who knew about trade. If possible, he wanted to sign the contract first. After Kirilenko left, Feng Yu's office was filled with people. The goods have already been loaded into the truck. According to the contract, the payment will be made within a day. Isn't it time for you to pay? Feng Yu waved his hand and said, let's go, follow me to the bank. This was the first time they were working together, so there was no need to delay or owe each other anything. In the future, it would depend on who had the foresight to set the price. With 450,000 rubles, Feng Yu arrived at ICBC Bank. Even the branch manager was alerted. This was a big client who could take out so much foreign currency at once. Needless to say, this was a special case. If the bank did not have enough money, there was no problem. Some manufacturers' representatives said that they could directly transfer the money into their factory's account, and some even said that they could directly receive foreign exchange. Collect foreign currency directly. The bank president would never do it. In this day and age, foreign exchange is a good thing. He immediately borrowed some cash from the provincial bank and exchanged all the rubles. After those people left, the bank president grabbed Feng Yu's hand and asked around where Feng Yu got the foreign currency. After knowing that Feng Yu was only helping the Russians with a business deal, which was a one-time deal, the president's enthusiasm immediately disappeared. He thought that he could find a stable channel to earn foreign exchange. Feng Yu leaned on the sofa and crossed his legs. Manager Zhu, it is not impossible to have a stable foreign exchange channel. But I have some problems with the procedures. Manager Zhu immediately asked someone to change a cup of tea for Feng Yu. Mr. Feng, what difficulties do you have? Let me see if I can help you. As for me, I started a company and wanted to do import and export trade. I had settled the source of goods and sales. But there is a problem. My company can only get the export approval. It is not easy to get the import approval. Quote, I know Director Lee from the Foreign Trade Department. I can help you, but your company's accounts must go through our bank, and your monthly earnings from exports must not be less than 400,000 rubles. Manager Zhu could tell that this Feng Yu had only done business once, and now he had started a company. He must have some connections, but his connections were not strong. If Feng Yu could get a few million rubles a year, Manager Zhu might be promoted from the city bank to the provincial bank. Even if not, this amount of money could be used. Then I will have to trouble you, Manager Zhu. 400,000 rubles a month is a bit difficult. I can only promise you that you can take all the rubles in my account and change them to RMB. Kirilenko had not promised him anything, and Feng Yu dare not to make any promises. That's settled. Tomorrow I will ask Director Lee out for dinner. The place is. How about Wame Western Restaurant? I will book a table. Quote. Manager Zhu's eyes brighten up. Wame Western Restaurant's dishes were very expensive. This Feng Yu knew what to do. That's settled. Tomorrow night at 5 p.m. When Feng Yu drove a Lada to pick Manager Zhu up, Manager Zhu was impressed by Feng Yu. In this era, those who could afford imported cars must be very capable. At 5 p.m., Director Lee's car arrived at the entrance of Wame Western Restaurant. Manager Zhu walked over and shook Director Lee's right hand. Feng Yu only stretched out one hand and shook Director Lee's hand. Director Lee frowned. This young man was too arrogant. Luckily, Director Lee was satisfied with the restaurant. Feng Yu ordered Wame Western Restaurant's signature dishes. Salmon, lamb chops, grilled prawns, etc. After eating for a while, Manager Zhu said, Director Lee, Brother Feng, I need to trouble you with the company's approval. Director Lee put down his wine glass and said slowly, this is not easy. The country is encouraging the export trade now. I just need to inform them and I can settle all the paperwork. But it is not easy to import goods now. Quote, Director Lee, now the country is open to the outside world and encourages us to import and export. Although I am importing goods, it is also to increase the quality of our products and improve the living standards of our people. Quote, you are saying that you are doing good deeds. Director Lee said this impolitely and sarcastically. Feng Yu did not mind. Manager Zhu was more anxious than him. He had asked around and knew that Manager Zhu's task this year was very important. Furthermore, he does not believe that he could not deal with this Director Lee. Director Lee, look at this less than people's daily greater than. What is the relationship between our country and the Soviet Union now? This is the most important period for us to restore our friendship. Just look at my clients. Every time they transport goods to Moscow, this is a good opportunity for us to show off our country's development. Also, we need to import some of the things that we can't manufacture now. But what if we buy those things from the Soviet Union and develop them ourselves? Will this be considered as contributing to our country's modernization? Quote, Director Lee looked at the less than people's daily greater than. It was obvious that the country was encouraging the import and export trade, especially with the Soviet Union and the US. The coastal region was in the lead, and the inland region was under the control of the country's economy. But Longjiang province was located at the border and was in an awkward position. During yesterday's meeting, the provincial leaders had asked the Foreign Trade Department to focus on the import and export trade at the border. They wanted to increase the people's living standards. They also wanted the Foreign Trade Department to come up with some regulations to ensure that there would be a few import and export trading companies this year. Director Lee was actually worried. Now, there were not many people doing import and export trade with the Soviet Union. In the eyes of the Chinese, the Soviet Union was the big brother. What did they need from us? The Soviet Union's products were very expensive. How were they going to make money? Manager Zhu also whispered to Director Lee, Director Lee, help me this once. My bank still needs a lot of work to do. Director Lee was just playing hard to get. He wanted someone to do the import and export trade now. This way, he could answer to the higher-ups. He also had his own tasks. If you say so, then I can still consider it. How about this? Xiao Feng, come to my office tomorrow. I will go back for a meeting. After a meal, the matter of approval was finalized. Feng Yu remembered that this year, the trade between China and the Soviet Union will reach a new peak. The higher-ups had already given their approval, and he should be able to get the approval. Actually, even when China fell out with the Soviet Union, the trade between Longjiang and the Soviet Union had never stopped. There were no official goods, but there were a lot of smuggled goods. During winter, trucks could run on the river. Once the relationship was established, the inspection personnel would turn a blind eye to it. Wouldn't the goods be circulated? Just look at Lada and Volga cars. Longjiang province had the most number of these cars in the country. The number of cars was even more than the imported cars. The next morning, Feng Yu drove to the Foreign Trade Department. The Foreign Trade Department shared the same office building with a few other departments. But there were many people queuing in front of the other departments. Only the Foreign Trade Department was empty. From this, one could tell that Chief Li was not having a good time. He knocked on the door, and a person who looks like a secretary walked out. Feng Yu explained the purpose of his visit and was invited in. Chief Li was reading the newspaper and did not seem to see Feng Yu. This tactic might work on other people, but it was useless against Feng Yu. Chief Li looked up and saw Feng Yu sitting on the sofa with his legs crossed. He had a relaxed look on his face. This kid seems to be in no hurry. Cough. Xiao Feng, when did you come in? I just arrived. Sorry to disturb you, Feng Yu replied politely, but in his heart, he was cursing. I don't believe that your secretary did not report to you when I came in. Oh, yesterday you mentioned that you have a company that can export goods. Now you want to get the import paperwork. That's right, we had a meeting to discuss about this. We can help you with the paperwork, but there must be some restrictions on the goods you are importing. We will not import anything that the higher-ups don't allow. What restrictions? I can make a lot of money from normal goods. Why would I need to import illegal goods? Feng Yu was clear. As long as it was allowed, he would do it. How many goods can you import and export in a year? I mean, how much is the value? Feng Yu thought for a moment and stretched out his palm. It should be 5 million this year. 5 million in half a year. Wouldn't it be tens of millions in a year? Even if it was a little exaggerated, it should be at least 7 or 8 million. This young man's business is quite big. Feng Yu added. Rubles. Hiss, Chief Li took a deep breath. Rubles. If converted to RMB, wouldn't it be 30 to 40 million a year? This was not a small business. Some large state-owned factories might not even have such a large annual trade volume. The Department of Foreign Trade and Economic Cooperation's quota for this year's imports was only 100 million rubles. This kid could complete 1/10 of the quota. Although he was surprised, Director Li pretended to be calm on the surface. He let out an, "Oh," in a nonchalant tone, indicating that he understood. Feng Yu had done some research. The annual import and export of over 10 million rubles might not be the highest in Longjiang province, but it was definitely the highest among the private companies. Now, Director Li knew the capabilities of Feng Yu's company. Next, Feng Yu will ask the Department of Foreign Trade and Economic Cooperation to give him some benefits. Director Li, what does our province lack? As long as the Soviet Union allows us to export, you just need to say the word and I will buy it. Maybe in another 2 years, our province will become the province with the most trade with the Soviet Union. There will be more import and export companies, and the taxes will be higher. Of course, all these were done under the leadership of Director Li. Quote, it was all done under the leadership of Secretary Zhao and Governor Wang. Director Li was overjoyed, but he still pretended to decline. This company could earn foreign currency and increase taxes. If this company was developed with the support of the Department of Foreign Trade and Economic Cooperation, then it would be a political achievement for Director Li. He might even be promoted before he retires. Of course, this company must be as good as what Feng Yu said. Director Li had asked his men to check on the company. The registered capital was only 200,000 RMB, and Feng Yu claimed that the annual import and export quota could reach 10 million rubles. This kid must be trying to take advantage of loopholes. In this era, the laws were not perfect, and there were many loopholes that could be exploited. For example, Li Shijiang was reselling treasury bonds in other places, and this was considered as taking advantage of loopholes. If it was like the future years, where the whole country was connected to the internet and the prices were the same, then this business would not be able to continue. But now, not only this business could be done, but it was also very profitable. There was no need to pay taxes, and it was also legal. It was just that not many people knew about this. Director Lee does not want to care about how Feng Yu took advantage of loopholes. As long as he can help the department to complete their tasks, he does not care about anything else. If this kid was caught taking advantage of loopholes, then it would be even better. Director Lee was confident that he could make this Taiwan Trading a subordinate unit of the Department of Foreign Trade and Economic Cooperation. The most important thing was that this was the first private company. He could answer to the leaders and let the leaders pay more attention to their department. Look at the other departments. The Department of Foreign Trade and Economic Cooperation was deserted. Here, take this slip and look for Deputy Director Zhang. He will tell you what to do. With the slip in his hand, Feng Yu looked at it. There were no obvious markings on it. It was said that there was a mystery behind the leader's signature. Even the punctuation marks were mysterious. Anyway, Feng Yu could not see through it. Thank you, Director Lee. When the paperwork is done, tell me a place for us to have a gathering. I still want to listen to Director Lee's guidance. Director Lee was satisfied with Feng Yu's attitude. But now the higher-ups were strict with Feng Yu. He was afraid that Feng Yu would be caught taking advantage of loopholes. What if he got implicated? With the slip in his hand, Feng Yu went to Deputy Director Zhang's office. When Feng Yu saw Deputy Director Zhang, he felt that he looked familiar. Looking at the rules and regulations on the wall, Feng Yu finally remembered who the person in charge was, Zhang Reiqiang. Wasn't this Deputy Director Zhang the future mayor of Bing City? Also, he was in the midst of the state-owned enterprise reform in 1997 and was scolded by the citizens. But later on, many people said that he was right. If it wasn't for him cutting his losses, those people would not be laid off and live on the government's allowance. They would not have such a good life in the future. Deputy Director Zhang was going to be a leader in the future. If Feng Yu could grab hold of this person now, he would benefit greatly in the future. But Feng Yu did not expect Deputy Director Zhang to be working in this Department of Foreign Trade and Economic Cooperation. Feng Yu needed to work hard to get close to Deputy Director Zhang. He did not expect Deputy Director Zhang to be of great help to Feng Yu in the future. He only wanted Deputy Director Zhang to protect Feng Yu from troubles. Within a few years, Feng Yu's company would grow bigger and bigger. At that time, even if Feng Yu did not look for trouble with him, trouble would find him. Chief Zhang, I am here to settle the import paperwork for my company. Feng Yu did not mention the word deputy. It sounded better. Chief Zhang raised his head. Have you brought all the materials? Let me see. Zhang Reiqiang looked at the documents that Feng Yu had prepared and flipped through them one by one. Everything that needs to be prepared was prepared. But the general manager of this company was not this person in front of him. Who is Feng Xingtai? Why is he not here? That is my father. He is out looking for business deals. Chief Zhang, do you need any more documents? Quote. Not much. Fill up this form. All the documents are here. Come back in a week to collect them. Feng Yu was disappointed. Why didn't Chief Zhang make things difficult for him? This way, he would be able to get closer to him. But at the same time, Feng Yu felt that this was normal. If Chief Zhang did not have a good reputation, how could he be promoted in the future? After leaving the Foreign Trade Department, Feng Yu was in a good mood. Once the export procedures were completed, his company would be able to make lots of money. Feng Yu had sent all the young men in his company out to do market research. Did they not know what market research is? It's fine, just go to the major markets and shops and ask what products are selling in the Soviet Union. Or, if you want to buy something from the Soviet Union, you can't buy it. Although these young men were inexperienced, they were willing to work hard and were smart. But after sending them out, Feng Yu regretted. He was alone in such a big warehouse. There was no one to talk to. Looking at the empty office, not to mention a computer, there wasn't even a television. Moreover, it was so stuffy that there wasn't even the slightest bit of cool breeze. Feng Yu could only focus and start writing the company's regulations. At this moment, he suddenly had an inspiration. His thoughts flowed like a spring. 108 were not enough. Wouldn't 1008 be too much? When Feng Yu was writing the 368th article, the group of young men returned. All of them were sweating profusely. It was still summer, and the weather was already so hot. Let's go and buy a few electric fans tomorrow. This weather is suffocating, Feng Yu mumbled. Manager Feng, electric fans cost a lot and also use up electricity. We can just use cattail leaf fans. One of the young men felt embarrassed. He did not do much work last month, and he had nothing to do. Manager Feng still wanted to pay him 100 RMB a month. Where else could he find such a good man? He must save some money for him. Feng Yu blinked his eyes. How much is the electric fan? The cheapest one in the mall costs more than 100 yuan, and the better ones cost 400 to 500 yuan. What the hell? Electric fans are actually so expensive now. Electric fans don't have much technical content. There are at least 8,000 factories that can produce electric fans in the country. Didn't the price drop? That's right. A few days ago, I bought one for my family. It's so big, and it even has a steering wheel. It's made of metal. Once it's turned, the wind is strong. Wait a minute, full metal. In other words, the steel used in an electric fan was at least 10 kilograms. Nowadays, steel was not cheap. No wonder electric fans were so expensive. The cost of the materials was very high. But are the manufacturers all retarded? Why use steel? Aren't there plastics now? It was light and cheap. Wouldn't the cost be reduced instantly? Big Lee, is there a factory that produces electric fans in Bing City? Everyone looked over at the same time, causing Feng Yu to be confused. Our factory produces electric fans. It's very durable. The one I have at home has been in use for 6 years. Apart from the loud noise, there are no other problems. Quote. Damn, I forgot that all of them are the children of the motor factory's workers. An electric fan has been in use for 6 years. No wonder they are not making any money. Do any of you know the factory's leader? Everyone looked at Wu Qigang. Impossible. Wu Qigang is the child of the factory's leader. My uncle is the director of the second workshop. He can be considered as a leader. But now, the second workshop is working for 1 day and rest for 2 days. No matter how many products we produce, we will not be able to sell them. Quote. Let's go and visit your uncle. I am going to give them a big order. Xiao Gang, is this your friend? Wu Qigang's aunt sighed. This brat. Of all times, he came to dinner time. It's fine if you came to freeload, but you even brought a friend along. Now, the factory is not doing well. Your uncle is only paying you 50% of your salary for a few months. I thought you were still a kid. Hello, auntie. We are here to look for Director Zhao. Feng Yu gave his best smile. Xiao Gang, you have not eaten yet. Let's have dinner together. The food will be ready soon. Director Zhao was sitting on the sofa watching TV. When he saw his nephew bringing his friend over, he thought it was a fight again and hid at his house. But that's not right. Why is he carrying cigarettes and alcohol? Where did this brat get the money from? Did he steal from the factory and sell it again? Hello, Director Zhao. I am Feng Yu, the Deputy General Manager of Taiwan Trading Company. I came to visit you today because I have some business to discuss with Director Zhao. Quote. Director Zhao looked at Feng Yu. What did this brat say? He is the Deputy General Manager of an international trading company. How old is he? Have a seat. What do you want to buy? Let me make this clear. We will not sell our factory's products cheaply to you. Quote. Feng Yu smiled. I want to buy a batch of electric fans. Electric fans? How many do you want? Although the factory does not have any stocks, their workshop can easily produce a few hundred units a day. If the order is big, they can let other workshops produce together. They can also work overtime. I want 10,000 units for the first batch. How many units? 10,000 units. No problem. I guarantee that I will hand it over to you within 10 days. Director Zhao was overjoyed. After selling 10,000 units of electric fans, the factory's salary for this month will be settled. Director Zhao, don't be anxious. What I want is not the electric fans your factory is using. I want smaller and lighter ones. Now, the electric fans produced by the motor factory were all vertical fans. Every fan was more than 1 meter tall and heavy. Feng Yu only wanted those small table fans. Other than the necessary parts, the rest of the fans were made of plastic. Especially the blades. It was light and cost-effective. Smaller and lighter. What do you mean? Quote, it means that other than the parts that must be made of steel, the rest will be made of plastic. For example, the blades. Also, it only needs to be 30 to 40 centimeters tall. The motor can also be smaller. Feng Yu described and gestured with his hands. Who would buy it if I did this? The wind will not blow on your face, and it is not durable. Quote. Feng Yu laughed. You don't need to worry about this. Just tell me if you can do it. How much does 1 unit cost? I will order 10,000 units first. Quote. Director Zhao hesitated for a while. He can do it, but can he make money from it? Weren't they producing inferior products? It would ruin the reputation of their old state-owned factory. I need to report to the higher-ups. Director Zhao, the workshop will not be able to pay the workers' salaries. I heard that the civilian products produced by our factory are not selling well in the market. Look at the dining table. There is not even any meat. You don't need to worry if I can afford it. You can ask Gangzi how much he gets every month after working with my brother-in-law for 3 months. Quote. Wu Qigang cooperated and said, Uncle, I get 100 RMB every month. There is a bonus at the end of the month. Now, I also provide food and lodging. Director Zhao also cooperated and showed a surprised look. You can earn 100 RMB a month. The average salary of the workers in their factory was not even 100 RMB. This trading company seems to be very rich. Director Zhao needs to report this to the higher-ups as the workers are still waiting for their salaries. I will go to Director Li's house now. You all eat first. Don't wait for me. Old Li, it's time to eat. You eat first. I can't eat. You still have to eat. I know the factory is not doing well now, but health is the capital of a revolution. Not doing well. There is no benefit at all. I am the deputy director in charge of production and sales. Most of the workshops in the factory are working for 1 day and rest for 2 days. The workers' wages are only half for the past few months. If this goes on, many families will not be able to afford their meals. Director Li smiled bitterly. He had neglected his duties as the deputy director. Dang dang dang. Old Zhao, have you eaten? Have a drink with old Li. He can't sleep at night. Director Zhao said. Sister-in-law, I have something urgent to discuss with Director Li. Director Zhao was not in the mood to drink. Old Zhao, what's the urgent matter? Did something happen in the factory? Director Li stood up from the sofa. The factory doesn't work at night now. Don't let someone come in and steal something important. Their factory still has military products. It's a good thing. Director Li, my nephew brought a big boss here today. Quote. After listening to Director Zhao, Director Li lowered his head and pondered. It was a good thing that there was an order. Also, the other party's requirements were not high. The motor factory was fully capable of producing it. But Director Zhao's worries were not unreasonable. Using only plastic, wasn't it defective? It could break with a light drop. It was not durable and would ruin their factory's reputation. But now the factory was shut down every few days. There were no orders, no profits, and the workers could not get their wages. Even their medical expenses could not be reimbursed. Every day, there were workers asking for their wages. This week, there were already 3 times when workers stopped at their door. Director Li had to lend out his savings every time. But this was not a long-term solution. Now there was an order, but he did not know if he should accept it. Director Li, I think we can accept it. We must accept it. If there are no new orders this month, we can't even get half of our wages. Quote. Then what about our factory's reputation? We are an old factory with many honors. We cannot let others say that we are producing inferior products. Quote. We can discuss with the boss and put their logo on our products. We will only produce. The last time we went to the south, many factories were doing the same. Why can't we do the same? Quote. You are talking about OEM. Director Li sighed. They were a state-owned factory. Since when did they have to do OEM for a private company? Director Li, there is no other way. How long would he have to wait for the higher-ups to give him a mission? For example, last year, they were tasked to produce electric fans, but what happened? In the end, he sold it at a loss. This time, the boss was quite easy to talk to. He didn't even ask for the price and just said that he wanted 10,000 units first. We can earn 10 yuan per unit. Even if it's 5 yuan, it's still 50,000 yuan. Quote. Okay, is the boss still in your house? I'll go with you to take a look and confirm the order. The machines are always idle, and maintenance costs a lot of money. It's better to work as an OEM. Director Li gritted his teeth and made a decision. Old Li, where are you going? We haven't eaten yet. Director Li's wife shouted. I'm not eating. I'm going to old Zhao's house to discuss work. Feng Yu looked at the dishes on the table in disbelief. This was the home of the workshop director, and there were only 2 plates of vegetables on the table. The only meat dish was scrambled eggs, which he had just made. If the leader's family was like this, then how poor were the workers' families? Aunt, you and my uncle are eating this now. There's not even a bit of meat. Wu Qi-gang also could not bring himself to eat. After he started working at Taiwan Trading, his meals and accommodation were provided. He had meat for every meal, and he was already a picky eater. It's good enough to have this to eat. Your uncle and the rest of the leaders had lent their money to the workers. You still want to eat meat? Even eggs can only be eaten once or twice a month. Quote. Wu Qi-gang did not know that the factory was in such a miserable state. Anyway, he had given his family 60 to 70 RMB every month. His family's life was much better than when he was idling around. Both of them only ate one bowl of rice and put down their chopsticks. They were too embarrassed to touch the eggs. It's better to go back and eat more. The door was unlocked, and Director Zhao and a stranger walked in. Director Li is here. Have you eaten? Director Zhao's wife quickly stood up. General Manager Feng, this is our Director Li. He has the final say in the factory. He wants to know how much you are going to pay us for one unit. Director Zhao waved to his wife and held Feng Yu's arm. Director Li was about to retire, and he had been staying in the hospital with the excuse that he was sick. He did not care about the factory. Director Li, the first deputy director, was now the person in charge of the factory. Feng Yu stretched out his hand and shook Director Li's hand. Nice to meet you, Director Li. Let's sit down and talk. Director Zhao's wife made a few cups of tea, and Wu Qi-gang stood behind Feng Yu like a bodyguard. Director Li entered the room and saw Feng Yu. Director Zhao had said that this general manager Feng was young, but he did not expect him to be so young. Was he even 20 years old? If he knew that Feng Yu had not even celebrated his 16th birthday, his jaw would drop. Director Li, I believe Director Zhao had told you about my requirements. Other than the necessary motors, the rest of the parts that can be made of plastic will be made of plastic. The motors also do not need to be so big. Just use plastic fan blades. The power will be low. Even the protective cover outside is dispensable. Quote. What? You want to remove the protective cover? If the fan blades fly out, people will be injured. Director Li was furious. This was really a profiteer. He did not even consider the safety. How can people be injured? Director Li had never seen a ceiling fan before. Why can't a ceiling fan have a protective cover? Furthermore, our fan blades are made of plastic, and the speed should be low. Even when the fan is turned on, you will only feel pain when you put your finger in it. This is my requirement, Feng Yu explained. Put your finger in it. That speed is too slow. How can there be wind? Quote. As long as the wind is stronger than the fan. The power is low, and it saves electricity. Isn't that good? Just at home, who dares to blow a strong wind at the fan? This type of fan only needs one gear, and you don't need to shake your head. You just need to blow at one person. Quote. Also, the base can be made smaller. With such a big clip, it can be placed on the floor, on the table, or even on the top of the wardrobe. It will become a ceiling fan that blows wind from top to bottom. Feng Yu said as he gestured. In his previous life, these small fans were still selling well. But now, there were no such fans. Feng Yu's new design had shocked Director Zhao and Director Li. Electric fans can be made like this. If that's the case, it's really promising. We can produce all these that you mentioned. How much are you willing to pay us for this fan? Quote. I had calculated. The cost is about 10 RMB per fan. I will give you 20 RMB. The ones with the fan blades and protective cover cost is slightly higher. I will give you 30 RMB. If you are able to produce, I will order 10,000 units for each. Quote. Director Li and Director Zhao looked at each other. Both of them whispered to each other. These two types of fans can be replaced with plastic materials. The profit for each type will be at least 8 RMB, 20,000 units. That will be 160,000 RMB. Okay, but we have a request. This fan cannot be used under our factory's name. You have to register a new trademark. Quote. Feng Yu's jaw dropped. He did not even ask the motor factory for the design fees. He wanted to help the local state-owned enterprise to revitalize the factory. He did not expect the other party to not want a trademark. Could it be that they are not optimistic about this electric fan? If you don't want it, I will not be happy. Then we have a deal. I will register the trademark. The name will be Wind and Rain. To ensure a speedy launch, Feng Yu asked Director Zhao to ask his workers to produce a few prototypes that night. Too late to design. The materials are not ready. It's not a big deal. We only need to test the wind speed. We can use cardboard to replace the plastic shell. Use a piece of plastic to cut the blades. No, the wind speed is too strong. We need to reduce it. The blades are too big. Make it smaller. This blade is too thick. We need to change it to a thinner one. This power cord is too long. Make it 2 meters. Feng Yu kept giving suggestions. Finally, after 3 hours, the 2 old craftsmen produced 2 sets of fans that Feng Yu was satisfied with. General Manager Feng, how are we going to transport these fans? There are only 3 blades, and without protection, it will break easily. Director Zhao asked. Don't use the blades first. We will buy them and let them assemble it themselves. Also, give them the screws. Write the instructions clearly. Even a young child will know how to assemble it. Quote. Assemble it themselves. Director Zhao and Director Li looked at each other. Who can assemble an electrical appliance by themselves? But this toy is really simple. They don't even need to read the instructions to know how to assemble it. Here, this is the Wind and Rain brand logo. It must be placed at an eye-catching place. Feng Yu wrote the word, Ra in an oracle bone script. There is an upside-down mountain above and 3 raindrops below. He had prepared this logo in his previous life. No problem. I will contact Old Wang at the plastic factory and ask him to produce the parts for us. But General Manager Feng, should we pay the deposit first? Quote. No problem. I will bring the contract and the deposit tomorrow morning. 100,000 RMB deposit should be enough. After the products are loaded, we will pay 80% of the deposit. The balance will be paid at the end of the month. Oh, get more colors for the fans. Don't always use white, blue, red, pink, green. Any bright colors can be used. Also, the blades can be divided into different colors. When the fan rotates, it will look like a rainbow. Quote. Feng Yu knew the factory was facing difficulties now. This 100,000 RMB deposit was to reassure them. Feng Yu is confident that once these fans are produced and recognized by the market, these fans will be sold out in the province. Director Li also patted his chest and said that within 5 days, 20,000 fans would be produced. All the workshops were now producing this, and the workers were working in 3 shifts. If Director Li was not worried about the efficiency of the plastic factory, he could even guarantee that he could produce 20,000 fans in 3 days. The next day, Feng Yu signed the contract, paid the deposit, and went to the Bureau of Industry and Commerce to register the trademark. No one had registered such a weird trademark. The most important thing now was to open up sales channels. Wind and rain electric fans have no reputation. What if no one recognizes them when they are put on the market? No one even knew that there were already electric fans that cost dozens of yuan. What should they do? Don't worry, let's advertise. Longjiang Daily Newspaper. Today, a big boss came to the president's office. It was said that he wanted to place an advertisement in the newspaper, and the advertisement must be very large. This era was not like the future, where more than half of a newspaper was filled with advertisements. Now, the newspaper had fewer pages but more content. There were only a few advertisements in the middle of the page. This time, Feng Yu did not want to buy the middle of the page. He wants to buy the entire page for a week. Manager Feng, the articles on this page should be news. We had never published any advertisements before. We have never done this before. The editor was troubled. This General Manager Feng wants to buy a page for a week. This was more expensive than a month's advertisement. President Zhang, our Longjiang province does not only have one newspaper. Other than the daily newspaper, there is also the evening newspaper and daily newspaper. Look at this newspaper. This is the page of the daily newspaper. Did you see that? They had cut the page into small pieces and added some common knowledge. But did you see that the part that was cut out is a Japanese home appliance advertisement? Quote. President Zhang looked at it and realized it was true. Now, TV allowed advertisements, and the newspaper should also allow it. However, he was still a little hesitant. This was an entire page. 7,000 RMB for 7 days. 1,000 RMB a day. This was not a small amount. The advertisement for the middle of the page was less than 200 RMB a day. But that was the middle of the page. This was a full page. Seeing President Zhang hesitating, Feng Yu increased his offer. My company can add another 1,000 RMB for 1 week. Just 1 week. Why don't you dare to try? If this path works, the newspaper office's income will increase by a lot every month. The staff of the newspaper office will definitely be grateful to President Zhang. Quote. 14,000 RMB. 14,000 RMB and I will agree. 2,000 RMB a day. This is too expensive. Half a page of the daily newspaper is only 500 RMB a day. I am offering the highest price. Quote, our sales are higher than the daily newspaper. President Zhang argued. But we are selling merchandise. The daily newspaper is more suitable for our customers. How about 9,000 RMB for 1 week? Quote, 10,000 RMB. At least 10,000 RMB. This is a full page. It is different from half a page. Quote, deal. Feng Yu started to write the advertisement and design the page. He wanted the advertisement to start tomorrow. Looking at Feng Yu's advertisement design, President Zhang felt that Feng Yu's brain was stuck in a door. You spent so much money just to make this advertisement. Even if you don't introduce your company, you should at least introduce the manufacturer. Or introduce the advanced technology, price, quality, etc. You only wrote so little. This is such a big page, and you only use a few dozen words a day. Isn't this a waste? A small advertisement should be enough. July 1st. It was Washa's big day. On this day, many people were reading the newspaper while going to work. What is this page about? There were 3 eye-catching slogans on the page. Follow the party wholeheartedly. 4 modernizations in a new day. To celebrate the party's birthday, Washa wrote a new page. The hearts of the people are with the party. Wind and rain see the rainbow. Today was the party's birthday. It was normal for there to be such a page. But what was the newspaper office doing? The layout was too messy. The 3 slogans were not read horizontally or vertically. They were read in 3 different directions. Why did it look like an electric fan? Needless to say, when the frame was connected, it really was an electric fan. At the bottom of the page, there was a different sentence, Wind and Rain Electric Fan, your summer companion. The advertisement was published, but there was no effect. No one paid attention to this Wind and Rain electric fan, and no one wanted to buy it. A cheap electric fan cost more than 100 RMB, and the expensive ones cost a few hundred RMB. Those who were willing to buy it would have bought it long ago. Those who were unwilling would not buy it now. Feng Yu did not care. This was a series of advertisements. He will only show his advantage at the end. 7 days was enough for people to remember this Wind and Rain electric fan. There was a more important problem. Taiwan Trading's account was only left with less than 300,000 RMB. Once the motor factory completed the production, Feng Yu would not be able to pay the rest of the 400,000 RMB. But Feng Yu had an idea. Manager Su, long time no see. Oh, Mr. Feng, what brings you here? When Manager Su saw Feng Yu, he immediately smiles. Once this kid brought Big Boss Old Harry here, he would be able to clear out more than half of his inventory that he couldn't sell. I'm in a hurry to send money to Manager Su. Hearing Feng Yu say this, Manager Su's face was full of smiles. Sure enough, he is here to give money. This is a rich man. What do you want to buy this time? How much do you want to buy? Rest assured, I will give you the highest cost. Quote, this time I am not buying anything. I want Manager Su to help me sell something. The smile on Manager Su's face disappeared. Sell something? There are still a lot of goods in his store that can't be sold. Since individuals were allowed to open their own stores, some small shops have sprung up everywhere. This seriously affected the cooperative's business. Besides, what good things can this Feng Yu have? What does the cooperative lack? They had been working with him for many years. They gave him gifts every new year. How can he sever ties with those old friends? Sell something? Sell what? Xiao Feng, our cooperative has whatever you want, and there are no more counters for other things. Manager Su changed the way he addressed Feng Yu from Boss Feng to Xiao Feng. His attitude towards Feng Yu had changed. Electric fan, then you better look for someone else. Even if there are no electric fans in the mall, there are not many people who come to the cooperative to buy electric fans. Manager Su rejected electric fans, not to mention that the weather had just started to heat up. Even during the hottest time, electric fans were not easy to sell. Only people who were getting married would buy them as expensive items. Manager Su, don't worry. Listen to me first. The sales model of my electric fans is different from others. I will leave the fans with you. The price is fixed. For every fan sold, I will give you 3 to 5 RMB profit. If you can't sell it, I will take it all away. Quote. Don't need money to buy. Sell it here. If you sell it, you will give us money. If you can't sell it, he will take it all away. This is not bad. No matter what, you will not lose money and it does not take up any funds. Anyway, it is summer. Why not let him keep a few fans? No, 3 to 5 RMB. You think it is easy to enter our cooperative? The products sold by our cooperative are all top quality products. We will pay at least 10 RMB per unit. Quote. Manager Su thought about it very clearly. An electric fan, the cheapest one cost more than 100 RMB. How could the profit be less than 30 to 40 RMB? He only wanted 10 RMB, and it was because Feng Yu didn't want him to pay for the goods. Manager Su, our electric fans are not that expensive, and our profits are not that high. We sell an electric fan for 50 to 60 RMB, and the profit is less than 10 RMB. We can only give you 5 yuan if the sales are good. Otherwise, we can't even take out 3 yuan. Quote. Manager Su couldn't believe it and looked at Feng Yu. The electric fan only sold for 50 or 60 yuan. How could it be? The cost couldn't even cover it. Such a big motor, so much steel, and the switches and circuit boards below. Why didn't the cost of it be 80 to 90 yuan? If the quality was especially good, the cost would be more than 200 yuan. How could his cost be so low, 50 to 60 yuan, and still have a profit? What brand is your electric fan? It shouldn't be a defective product, right? Manager Su asked alertly. There must not be any counterfeit products in the cooperative. Wind and Rain brand is definitely not a counterfeit product. It is our motor factory's latest design and production. You see, it was reported in the newspaper. Quote. Feng Yu took out today's newspaper and pointed it out to Manager Su. Manager Su remembered that this morning when he was reading the newspaper, he saw this page. He was puzzled. He had never heard of this Wind and Rain brand electric fan. It was not in the market yet. This is from the motor factory. Absolutely. You can go and ask. If I am lying to you, I will give you all the fans for free. Feng Yu did not finish his sentence. Of course, it was the motor factory. But the motor factory was an OEM and was not the motor factory's brand. If that is the case, then give me at least 5 RMB per unit. Electric fans take up space in the warehouse. If it is too little, we will not do it. Manager Su believed what Feng Yu said, but he still wants to fight for the profits. Our electric fans are not big. How about this? We have 2 models of electric fans. The big model is 59 RMB, and I will give you 4 RMB per unit. The small model is 49 RMB, and I will give you 3 RMB per unit. For every 100 units sold, I will give you an extra 50 RMB. This is the highest price I can offer. I can't let you earn more than us. You are not even paying for it. Quote. Manager Su thought for a while. On average, there should be a profit of 4 RMB per unit. This electric fan is so cheap. In one summer, he should be able to sell 100 units. Then he can earn 400 RMB, and he does not need to pay for it. All the money will be in his pocket. Okay, but the next time the Russians come to buy something, you must bring him here again. We still need to let him buy more. No problem, maybe he will come this month. I am also looking forward to it. Let's get rich together. Feng Yu took out the prepared contract from his bag and handed it to Manager Su. Huh, that's not right. Mr. Feng, why do we have to pay a deposit? Quote. Manager Su, the deposit is written clearly. Only for 1 month. 1 month later, when we settle the accounts, I will return the full amount to you. I can't just leave all my goods with you, and you do not pay a single cent. If the goods break or get lost, who am I going to look for? Quote. But you are asking for too much. According to the original price, at least 100 units are too expensive. Too expensive. What's the difference between this and me buying the goods myself? Of course there is a difference, and there is a big difference. If you buy from others, how much does it cost for an electric fan? If you can't sell it, will they give you a refund? I have so many goods in my hands, and all the risks are borne by me. No matter how many you sell, you will still be making a profit. You do the math. Is this right? Quote. Manager Su was tricked by Feng Yu. He thought of the 400 RMB profit and gritted his teeth. Okay. I want 100 units. But the deposit must be cheaper. Quote. Those 2 models, 100 units each. I will give you a 50 RMB deposit for each unit. The total is 10,000 RMB. Is this okay? Wait, why is this not the motor factory's stamp? Taiwan Trading, I have never heard of it. Quote. This is the company that sells the Wind and Rain brand electric fans. The boss and the director of the motor factory are, if not, how can it be so cheap? Feng Yu did not finish his sentence. As for how Manager Su will understand, Feng Yu will not be responsible. Manager Su had a look of realization. No wonder. But who cares? The motor factory's business is not up to him, a manager of the cooperative, to manage. After the contract was signed, Feng Yu went to the first department store to lobby the manager of the department store. When the department store saw that the cooperative had already signed the contract, it also used the same conditions and ordered 200 units each. Then the small department stores in each district also ordered at least 200 units after seeing the contract from the first department store. In one day, Feng Yu got a total of 1,400 units orders. From tomorrow onwards, Feng Yu will receive 70,000 RMB deposit. Enough money to pick up the goods. These few days, many people in Bing City noticed a strange phenomenon. There were only a few sentences on the front page of Longjiang Daily. Today, it was about the hot summer, cool breeze blowing. Yesterday, it was about the hot sun in the sky, good gifts. The day before yesterday, it was about. But at the bottom of every page, there was an advertisement, Wind and Rain Electric Fans, your summer companion. For the past 5 days, every time the people read the newspaper, they would see this unique page. This page quickly became the topic of conversation. It was even more popular than the news about a murder case. In the past, this kind of news was the focus of everyone's attention. When Feng Yu heard people talking about Wind and Rain Electric Fans on the streets, he knew that his advertisement was a success. Now when people ask about electric fans, they will instinctively think of wind and rain. On the 5th day, the motor factory had completed the production of 20,000 electric fans. 80% of the payment had been paid, but Feng Yu did not take away all the goods. He only took away 2,000 units. The people from the motor factory also felt that it was strange. Even if it was 80% of the payment, they were still making money. Feng Yu had paid, but he did not take away the goods. Could it be that he wanted to return the goods? Director Li and Director Zhao discussed for a while. If Feng Yu wanted to return the goods, they must not agree. They also specially informed Feng Yu that he must settle the remaining payment before the end of the month. If not, the factory will confiscate all the goods. If these defective goods could not be sold, they could still distribute them to the workers. Anyway, they had already earned back the cost. Feng Yu did not care about the motor factory's notice. He did not have enough space in his warehouse. After sending the goods to the various shopping malls and cooperatives, there were still 600 units left in his warehouse. If he were to take out all 20,000 units, his warehouse would need to be expanded by at least 10 times. Since there was a free warehouse from the motor factory, it would be a waste not to use it. On the 6th day, there was finally a real advertisement in the newspaper. It was a picture of a table fan, and it was written in big red words, Wind and Rain Table Fan. Shocking price, 59 RMB. At night, Feng Yu was in the warehouse, having a meeting with the people from the company. How is the sales going today? Which shopping mall was selling well and which was not selling well? Are there any shopping malls that deliberately do not display our electric fans? Are there any that adjust the prices? Quote. This kind of consignment model was most afraid of the agents playing tricks. They would either deliberately say that the product wasn't selling well and ask you to give them a bigger discount, or they would see that your product was selling well and raise the price, or they would use your product as a foil to promote the same type of product with higher profits. Feng Yu had written these terms clearly in the contract. Once he broke the contract, not only would he not be paid a dime, but he would also not be refunded the deposit. Furthermore, the other party would have to compensate him at least 10,000 yuan. Feng Yu thought that they would say that someone had breached the contract, or that all of them had breached the contract. In this day and age, the public sector was tyrannical and had a blind sense of superiority. Which private enterprise dared to sue the public sector? However, things were different from what Feng Yu had expected. No one had breached the contract, but the electric fans were not selling at all. General Manager Feng, the cooperative had only sold 3 fans today. I saw it clearly. The cooperative had tried very hard to promote the fans, but no one was buying. It's the same for the first department store. The fans were placed in an obvious position behind the electronics counter, but not many people were buying. Only 5 fans were sold today. That's still considered good. Dongli department store only sold 1 fan. At least you all had opened for business. Typing department store did not even sell a single fan. General Manager Feng, did you fail to sell these fans? Everyone was discussing, and Feng Yu listened carefully and nodded his head. All of them had done their research and did not slack off. General Manager Feng, these fans are not selling at all. What should we do? Feng Yu laughed. Wait and see. 3 days later, you all will see the results. Tomorrow, you all will. On the 7th day, it was the last day of the newspaper advertisement. This time, it was a 49 RMB electric fan, and there were 2 pictures. One of the fan was clamped on the table, and the other was a picture of a truck coming out of the motor factory. In the afternoon, Manager Su from the cooperative was frowning. This electric fan was not selling as well as he had expected. The price was cheaper, but it was not well known. Didn't Feng Yu say he was advertising? Just 2 pictures and a few sentences in the newspaper, and this is called an advertisement. Hello, what do you want to buy? Do you have Wind and Rain brand electric fans? Yes, there are 2 models. Each model has many colors. Which one do you want? The salesperson said listlessly. The one in the newspaper. Is it really 49 RMB? The salesperson looked at the newspaper and took out an electric fan with the same color and design. Yes, 49 RMB. Okay, I want one. No, 2. I want to buy one for my father-in-law. Okay, what color do you want? The salesperson was happy. Manager Su had said that if this fan was sold, he would give her a 1 yuan commission. Whatever. Hurry, give me the change. 10 banknotes were slapped on the counter. The salesperson quickly collected the change and handed the 2 electric fan boxes to the customer. That's not right. Why is the box so small? It can't even fit the fan blades. The customer looked at the salesperson suspiciously. His eyes looked like the salesperson was deceiving him. You see, the fan blades are separated. After you go home, open it yourself and tighten the screws. This kind of work, even children can do. Hey, it's quite interesting. I can give it to my son as a toy. Manager Su saw a person bought 2 fans at once, and his face finally showed a little smile. But he was very curious. Why did this person only buy 2 fans? He thought of something and quickly looked at today's Longjiang Daily. There was a picture of someone coming out of the motor factory. It turned out that everyone knew it was the motor factory's product, so they were assured about the quality. What Manager Su did not know was that the reason was more than that. Feng Yu asked the company's people to go to crowded places to spread the news. Let everyone believe that this Wind and Rain brand electric fan was produced by the motor factory. What's wrong with plastic? It's as sturdy as plastic. And it's just blowing wind. Plastic has no less wind than iron. Besides, how much did those electric fans cost? How much did this one cost? In the past, the money used to buy one was enough to buy several. And there is another advantage. This is plastic and it will not rust. Not to mention the nice color, it can be wiped clean with a wet cloth. Also, this small thing, when not in use in winter, it is convenient to put it away. It is not like the big one which takes up a lot of space. Another advantage is safety. If you put your finger in it, it will only hurt a little. There is no injury at all. It had been published in the newspaper for a week. How can this thing be inferior goods? Besides, can the motor factory produce inferior goods? Listen, Old Wu's son bought one for Old Wu. Yesterday, Old Wu showed off to us for more than an hour. At this time, he is enjoying it at home. After such encouragement, some people were tempted. They went to the shopping malls or cooperatives to inquire. Is this electric fan really so cheap? After seeing the sample, some people bought it on the spot. Some people went home to think about it and decided to buy it the next day. That afternoon, the city's major shopping malls and cooperatives sold a total of more than 100 electric fans. Only 3 were other brands, and the rest were Wind and Rain brand. After reading the newspaper for a week, when people mentioned electric fans, they did not know why. Their first reaction was Wind and Rain brand. They did not want to buy Wind and Rain brand, but they changed their minds. Wind and Rain brand electric fans, popular. For 3 consecutive days, more than 100 fans were sold every day, and the number was still increasing every day. When people were chatting, they would say that their son had just bought an electric fan for them. It was like buying a big color TV in the past. Manager Su had called to order another 200 fans. The mall closed early, and many people had no time to go to work. The cooperative was different. It closed at 8 p.m. Those who had no time to go to work would come to the cooperative to buy. This was the place that sold the most and the fastest. A few days ago, Manager Su was still regretting that he had bet 10,000 RMB on the fans. In the end, he could not make any money. Although it seemed to be more stable than getting the goods and not losing money, he still had 10,000 RMB on his account. Now, Manager Su did not think so. It had only been a few days, and the hottest period in Bing City had not arrived yet. The fans were selling so well. In a few days, the sales would be even higher. There was no risk, and there was no profit. How could he not ask for more? Other than the cooperative, the shopping malls also started to place more orders. It was not the weekend yet. If it was the weekend, the fans would be sold out. Now, the fans in the shopping malls were not selling well. Almost everyone only recognized the Wind and Rain brand. Produced by the Motor Factory, the price was cheap, the style was novel, lightweight, convenient and safe. Even the first department store had a banner at the entrance of the shopping mall. At this time, Feng Yu once again called everyone for a meeting. One was to celebrate the popularity of the Wind and Rain fans in Bing City. Everyone had worked hard these few days. Feng Yu gave everyone a 20 RMB bonus. The other reason was to teach them how to receive customers. Xiao Yu, the customers are coming, and you want us to treat them like this. Then will they still buy our fans? Li Shijiang frowned. Feng Yu was just messing around. Everyone was happy with the bonus. But the way Feng Yu taught them how to receive customers was unacceptable. Feng Yu told them that when customers came, there was no need to smile obsequiously, and there was no need to serve tea or pass cigarettes. They had to pretend to be impatient, and it was up to them whether they wanted to buy or not. Now, the Wind and Rain electric fans were only famous in Bing City. Feng Yu did not have the energy to set up distribution channels outside of Bing City. There will be smart people coming to look for him. The Wind and Rain electric fans were selling well. Big customers bully the shop, big shops bully the customers. Now that the Wind and Rain brand electric fans were in short supply, there must be a lot of people who wanted to sell them wholesale. Feng Yu was not afraid of not being able to sell them. Feng Yu was also wary of the Motor Factory. He asked Wu Qigang to tell Director Zhao that there were rumors that the Wind and Rain fans were inferior products produced by the Motor Factory, and they want compensation from the Motor Factory. Director Zhao immediately reported to Director Li. Everyone in the factory said that this Wind and Rain electric fans had nothing to do with the Motor Factory. It was just that the Motor Factory had rented their warehouse to Taiwan Trading. So, some of them went to the Motor Factory and wanted to import the fans directly from the source. But they were all rejected. Our Motor Factory does not produce any Wind and Rain electric fans. Absolutely not. A few of them insisted that the fans were produced by the Motor Factory, and they were escorted out by the Motor Factory's security. These people had no choice but to contact the company that owns the trademark of Wind and Rain electric fans, Taiwan Trading. When they entered Taiwan Trading's warehouse, they frowned. It was not because the location of the company was too bad. They were from the south and had seen the company's office in a small village. What surprised them was that there were only a few hundred fans in the warehouse. Could it be that they did not have many fans left? Is this Taiwan Trading? Is the Wind and Rain electric fans from your company? Zhang Rukan, a businessman from Shen City, asked politely. Who are you? The Wind and Rain electric fans are from our company. What has it got to do with you? Wu Qigang stared at Zhang Rukan and said. Zhang Rukan was stunned. Why did the people in this company have such an attitude? But in order to make money, he endured it. This is my name card. I am the general manager of Jinyuan Trading. I would like to have a chat with your company's manager. Not free. Our boss is busy. Can't you see that I am also busy? Go and do what you need to do. Quote. Zhang Rukan's jaw dropped. Was there something wrong with this person? Can't you tell that I want to talk business with your boss? Aren't you afraid that your boss will know about your attitude? If this person was from my company, I would have fired him long ago. Wait till I meet your boss. Zhang Rukan forced a smile and took out a pack of double happiness cigarettes from his pocket. He passed one to the person in front of him. Brother, have a cigarette. Get out. This is a warehouse. Can you smoke here? Quote. Zhang Rukan's smile froze and put the cigarette back. He thought for a while and passed the pack of cigarettes to the other party. Brother, don't be angry. It's my fault. Take this cigarette. I am here to discuss with your boss about purchasing some Wind and Rain electric fans. I want to buy some. Quote. Wu Qigang kept the cigarettes in his pocket and looked at Zhang Rukan. You want to buy some? Why didn't you say so earlier? Zhang Rukan wanted to cry but no tears came out. He wanted to say, but did you give me the chance to say it? He will not say this out loud. He smiled and nodded. Yes, yes, yes. I forgot to say. Wu Qi showed a, "It's all your fault" expression and asked slowly, "Then how many units are you going to sell?" Sell. Zhang Rukin was puzzled. "What do you mean by sell?" "I want to buy some goods and sell them in Shen City." "Purchase goods? Since we can't buy goods, we can only sell on a commission basis. We don't have a lot of goods now. We don't even have enough for ourselves." Wu Qi waved his hand and turned to continue with his work. Zhang Rukin grabbed Wu Qi. Brother, I think you have a say in this company. Help me talk to them and sell some to me. I don't need a lot. Just 1,000 units will do. I will give you 1 RMB for each unit." Quote. Wu Qi shook off Zhang Rukin's hand and pointed to the warehouse door. "You want to bribe me? Hurry up and leave." Quote. "Brother, if 1 RMB is too little, we can still negotiate." "Get lost. Sorry, brother, it's my fault. I also despise this kind of thing. Many people in the south are doing this. Brother, can you talk to your boss and sell some to me? We can discuss the price. I will give you 35 RMB for each unit." Quote. Zhang Rukin had calculated that the cost of an electric fan was about 30 RMB. If he produced more, the cost could be lower. He was willing to give the other party a profit of 5 RMB for each unit. If he bought 1,000 units, that would be a profit of 5,000 RMB. Of course, after he shipped them back to Shen City, he could sell each unit for 50 to 60 RMB. He could make more than 10 RMB. 35 RMB. It's not even enough. Did you see that? This kind of small one costs almost 40 yuan. This kind of big one costs almost 50 yuan. Seeing your sincerity, I will let you know. If you really want to buy, then come over at 10 a.m. tomorrow. Alright, I still have work to do here. Hurry up and leave." Quote. Zhang Ruiqiang left. At the same time, he called his friends to raise money. He must buy more electric fans after he met his boss. Looking at the booming sales in Bing City, he knew that he was going to be rich. The same thing happened to more than a dozen people. Some of them were at the door, and some were in the office. All of them had agreed to meet their boss at 10 a.m. tomorrow. Feng Yu was visiting Director Li's office at the motor factory in the afternoon. "Mr. Feng, now there are rumors that our wind and rain fans are from our factory. You better step out and say this. Don't let others misunderstand." Director Li was still worried that these plastic fans would be treated as inferior products and affect the motor factory's reputation. "I'm sorry, I did not communicate well with the newspaper agency and let them publish a picture. I had clarified this matter." Feng Yu felt it was funny, but he still nodded and agreed. In this era, everyone's salary was not high. Although he had lowered the price of electric fans to 20% to 30% of other brands, it was still considered a big deal. To put it bluntly, even if it was a steel fan, who would be willing to throw it? It was just like Apple in the future. When Apple was first introduced, Nokia laughed at them. Who would buy it if it was not tested for drop resistance? But what happened next? Who would be willing to throw a 5,000 to 6,000 RMB phone? Apple's sales continued to rise, and Nokia became a loss-making company. In the end, its mobile phone business was sold by its parent company. The logic was the same. But Director Li and the rest's mentality was the same as Nokia's management in the past. They had fallen into a traditional misunderstanding. Not everything was sturdy and durable. Feng Yu had another advantage that he did not mention. These plastic fans were fragile. That's even better. If it broke, you will have to buy a new one. In another 2 years, China's economy will be better, and more people will be willing to buy fans. They will be used to using fans. How are they going to survive the summer without fans? Director Li, I am here to talk to you about 2 things. First, I will be taking away all the electric fans in the factory's warehouse in the next 2 days. Second, I want another batch of electric fans. Director Li, are you interested in renewing the contract? Quote. Director Li's eyes brighten up. You still want another batch? If there were another 20,000 units, the factory would be able to earn another sum of money. Perhaps the wages owed to the workers for the past few months could be made up again. Of course, it's still the same condition. We guarantee that we can produce 20,000 units in 5 days. No, 3 days. Quote. All the workshops will be producing electric fans. Including the factories that were producing military products, they will also be producing electric fans. Anyway, as long as the factory was willing to work overtime, they can complete a month's production in a few days. 20,000 units in 3 days. Then I want 100,000 units. Can you produce it in 2 weeks? Quote. What did you say? How many do you want? Director Lee just wanted to say of course, but he found that the number he heard seemed to be a little wrong. His hand holding the teacup trembled. 100,000 units. Same rules, 10% deposit. I'll transfer it to your company's account tomorrow. Feng Yu said it very casually. It was as if he was not talking about the 100,000 electric fans business, but the 10 RMB business. 15 days, no, 14 days. The quality and quantity are guaranteed. There will be no problem. Director Lee really wanted to ask. Aren't you afraid of the citizens coming to your door to find you for selling this kind of inferior electric fan? However, for the sake of the factory, he swallowed these words. The more they produced, the lower their cost. If they produced 100,000 units, the profit would be 850,000 yuan. Not only would they be able to make up for the wages owed to the workers, they would also be able to make up for the medical expenses. Feng Yu took out the prepared contract. Director Lee looked at it and signed it. He then informed all the workshop directors to attend a meeting. Within 2 weeks, this batch of electric fans must be manufactured. When the workshop directors heard that the owner of the electric fans had placed another order, and this time it was 100,000 units, they were so excited like Director Lee. Those who did not get a share last time, they started to fight for it. The military products will be stopped first. Let's earn this sum of money first. The workshop that produced more electric fans will earn more, and the workshop director's life will be better. Of course, this time, the workshop with the most tasks was still Director Zhao's second workshop. After all, Director Zhao was the one who found this boss. Of course, they also understood that if there were any problems with the electric fans, the factory will have to cut all ties with them, and Director Zhao will have to bear the biggest responsibility. At 8 a.m., Feng Yu was woken up by someone knocking on the door. This was the drawback of this warehouse. The metal door was big, and when someone knocked on it, the echo in the warehouse could be heard. General Manager Feng, there are more than a dozen people standing at the door. They seem to be the customers who came yesterday. Wu Qi-gang stood in front of Feng Yu and reported. At this time, Feng Yu was having breakfast. The steamed dumplings with meat filling were very oily. Who knocked on the door? Feng Yu frowned. Those who knocked on the door must be chased away. How dare they disturb my sleep? No one knocked on the door. Some of them were not invited by us. They heard the news and came over on their own. Those who were invited by us were not happy, and 2 groups of people started to push each other and knocked on our door. Wu Qi-gang was speechless. There were people fighting in front of their house early in the morning. Who would be happy? However, they couldn't get angry. After all, they were here to deliver orders to them. Go to the door and talk. Be obedient and wait quietly. Whoever can't wait, ask him to get lost. What did I tell you last night? There will be a lot of people coming today. You all must be alert. Whoever wants to come in first, ask him to get lost. Quote. Wu Qi-gang went downstairs and stood at the door. The door was open, and Wu Qi-gang and the rest hugged the first person who entered. I will remember you. You are from Xinsheng Company. Who allowed you to enter? Our company does not want to cooperate with you. Get lost. Quote. What do you mean? Nothing. It's our boss's rule. Our boss said that we will never cooperate with people who don't follow the rules. You are on our blacklist. Do you know what a blacklist is? Get lost. There's no point in staying here. Quote. After the people from Xinsheng Company left, Wu Qi-gang shouted to the rest. The rest of you listen up. Those who agreed with us yesterday will come in at 10 a.m. Those who came on their own will come in after 10:30 a.m. If anyone wants to come in early, make a ruckus, or is unhappy with our rule, get lost. Quote. With Xinsheng Company as an example, the rest of the people became more obedient. The most infuriating thing was that the door of the warehouse was wide open. They could see Wu Qi-gang and the rest playing poker inside. The sun was getting higher, and the temperature was getting higher. They could only stay in the sun. They did not even dare to go to the shady side. Who knew when the weird boss of this company would let people in again? What if they did not hear it or fell behind? At 10 a.m. sharp, the first batch of people entered the warehouse after Wu Qi-gang and the rest matched their numbers with their name cards. In the deepest part of the warehouse, the first batch of people looked around but did not see the boss. They only saw a young man sitting in front of him. Young man, where is your boss? Feng Yu was furious. Which company is this? Can't he tell that they are all standing and I am the only one sitting here? You, get lost. Our company does not want to cooperate with you. Wu Qigang introduced. This is our company's general manager Feng. He is the person you were looking for. That person was dumbfounded. This young man is the boss. Is he even 20 years old? He still wanted to say something, but Wu Qigang and the rest dragged him out. The rest of the people were shocked. Yesterday, they felt that the employees of this company were very arrogant. Today, they realized that they had learned from their boss. This boss is the real arrogant one. Just because of a disagreement, he asked people to get lost. You can see the boss of a company from the quality of the employees. In order to make money, he tolerated it. Feng Yu signaled Wu Qigang to take out a stack of forms and give it to everyone. He asked them to fill in the forms. They looked at the forms and saw the company's name, nature of the company, contact person, contact information, etc. They could understand these. But the last item, acceptable wholesale price of electric fans. What the hell? They looked around and did not know what to write. This was too high. What if this weird Feng Yu decided to sell the fans at this high price? Whoever filled in the highest would be the target of everyone. They could imagine what Mr. Feng would say. You are the lowest. I can tell that you are not sincere. Get lost, Feng Yu said. Translator's notes. Suddenly, someone noticed that Feng Yu was not paying attention to them. They whispered to each other and decided to give the same price. This way, everyone would fill in the same price. It was a fair competition. Everyone whispered to each other and discussed for a long time. In the end, the wholesale price for the two models was 40 RMB and 48 RMB. Also, they will supervise each other. No one can hand in their units earlier or last. They will hand in their units together. Feng Yu only looked at one form and did not look at the rest of the forms. He nodded and said, you all are quite sincere. 40 RMB and 48 RMB per unit. Although we have almost no profits, it is still acceptable for the initial marketing phase. The prices are set. Is there anyone who disagrees? Quote. No one said anything, and Feng Yu was satisfied. Look, killing the chicken to warn the monkey is still very useful. How many units do you all intend to buy? 1,000. Someone shouted boldly. The rest saw Feng Yu did not chase this person away and started to shout. Some said 800 RMB, some said 1,500 RMB. The highest was 5,000 units. He had a fat head, big ears, and a round waist. He looked like an unscrupulous businessman. At this moment, he was holding his head high and chest out, looking around at the other competitors. He was from the south. The south had a longer period of hot weather, and the market was bigger than the north. At this time, Wu Qigang, who had been arranging the forms, passed a completed form to Feng Yu. Oh, there were 4 provinces overlapping, and there were still more than 10 provinces blank. Next, I will explain the rules of our company. Hearing Feng Yu's words, these dealers thought to themselves, finally, I knew you had rules. Our company's wind and rain electric fans are selling well in Bing City, the northernmost province of Huasha. If not, you all will not come to us. It could be said that other provinces, summers were hotter than Longjiang. The sales of electric fans were expected. Originally, we planned to establish our own sales channels, but since you're here, we'll give you a chance. But our company's plan is to recruit only one distributor in each province. The distributors whose names are red stand on the left, and those whose names are not red stand on the right. Quote. Wu Qigang read out the names of the dealers who repeated the provinces. These people looked at each other and stood on the left side of Feng Yu unwillingly. Those whose names weren't called out heaved a sigh of relief. It seemed that they had no competitors. What I said earlier is the first rule. Now, let's talk about the second rule. The total number of distributors in each province must not be less than 5,000 units. This standard is based on that fat man. If you can't do it, you can leave now. Quote. This time, that fat man was not happy. The rest of the dealers were staring at him angrily. Even though he was rich, he was not as confident as before. At the same time, he was cursing Feng Yu in his heart. You just want more distributors to do your business. Why did you let me be the scapegoat? Who among them was willing to quit? Wind and rain electric fans were cheap and good quality. Now, it was summer, and it was the peak season for sales. Also, 5,000 units in a province's market was not a problem. If they did not have enough capital, they could just borrow money. If they could not borrow, they could find someone else to work with. Anyway, they must not give up this rare opportunity. If they were to quit this time, based on Feng Yu's temper, he will not work with them anymore. You can do it. Very good. Then, I will talk about the third rule. Pay first, then load. Quote. This was a bit difficult. Now, many businesses were paying a portion of the money, and after the goods are sold, they will get the money back. But they knew that if they did not agree, Feng Yu would point at the door and ask them to get lost. The fourth rule. The retail price in your province cannot be higher than Bing City's retail price by 15%. You cannot sell your goods to other provinces. If I find out about this, then the penalty will be 500,000 RMB. Not being able to snatch other people's market made the dealers feel bad. Never mind, if they don't want to snatch their goods, then so be it. Furthermore, even if they were to sell their goods, would they be caught by Taiwan trading? The fifth rule. Do not tarnish our Wind and Rain brand. Do not tarnish Taiwan Trading's reputation. If there are imitations or fakes in your market, you must stop them immediately or inform our company. Quote. Once Wind and Rain electric fans are introduced to the southern market, with the brains and guts of the southerners, they will surely introduce imitations. There was no technical content in this electric fan. Take the thousands of electric fan factories in the country for example, any factory can produce the same electric fan. But once the imitations appeared, Wind and Rain electric fans would not be able to guarantee high profits. Feng Yu could earn an average of 19 RMB per unit, and 100,000 units would be 1.9 million RMB. Feng Yu's initial capital was only about 300,000 RMB. But Feng Yu was too late. If he had this much capital 2 months earlier, he would have prepared more than 500,000 units and sell them through his own channels. Those imitations would have no chance in the market. What made Feng Yu depressed was that he could not apply for a patent for this electric fan. Even if he could, with the speed of the patent office, it would take at least half a year. Half a year later, it would be winter. Other than the coastal areas, who would still be buying electric fans? Electric fans were just a one-time business. If it could be sold this year, it might not be sold next year. Feng Yu could even guess that next year, these people would buy from other places or start their own factories. But this short summer was enough for Feng Yu to accumulate 1 million RMB worth of assets. Feng Yu had wanted to set up a list of 108 rules, but he was afraid that if he said it out loud, he might scare away those people who came to him with checks. Anyway, these 5 rules were enough. If it was done well, the Wind and Rain electric fans could still be produced next year. Even if it was not done well, this year's Wind and Rain electric fan market would not be affected. At this time, the distributors from the 4 provinces had reached an agreement. No one was willing to back out. They decided to share the market together. Feng Yu would not reject this proposal. There were not many distributors who could order 5,000 units at once. Most of them needed to borrow money or cooperate with others. But what surprised Feng Yu was that these 4 provinces had ordered more than 5,000 units. They had divided the regions themselves, and they knew how much they could sell in each region. Now, when Fatty heard that he could get more than 5,000 units, his eyes brighten up. Since he could get more units, could he get 2 provinces? This should not be against the rules, right? When the number of units they wanted to buy was calculated, there were actually 181,000 units, and that Fatty had occupied the market of 2 provinces in the southeast region with 12,000 units, showing disdain for everyone else. Everyone went upstairs to sign the contract. They agreed that the goods would be delivered in 3 batches, with 1-week intervals. The first batch would be delivered within this week, and the goods would be delivered in cash. This was to ease their cash flow. Even if they gave them all at once, they could not afford so much money. Actually, it was because Taiwan Trading could not take out so many units at once. At first, there were some people who said that they could not wait any longer and wanted to buy all the goods at once. But when they saw Feng Yu looking at them, they immediately shut up. This was also good. Although the quantity was lesser, their funds could be used up. Maybe they do not need to share the profits with others and they could buy all the electric fans themselves. After this batch of people left, the people waiting outside were anxious. All of them were holding on to the contract. Could it be that they had bought all the goods? Wu Qi called them in. These people ran to Feng Yu and shouted that they wanted to buy a batch of electric fans. Don't you know the rules? Quiet. Whoever dares to say anything else, get lost. Quote. Wu Qi gave them a form as usual. Those who repeated the form, stand on the left side. Those who did not repeat the form, stand on the right side. The conditions were the same as before. A minimum of 5,000 units for each province. Taiwan trading will not interfere, but you can only be the distributor for each province. The rest of the people were anxious. These people were all brought up to sign the contract. What should they do? The conditions you mentioned just now, we can also accept them. Now, there were only 7 provinces in the western region without distributors. These provinces were located in the highlands, and there were many nomads. Electricity was a problem. The sales of the electric fans would not be good. Feng Yu also lowered his conditions. The rest of the people who were willing to be the distributor for those provinces can stay. Those who were not willing can leave. Seeing Feng Yu's firm attitude, some of them shook their heads and left. At the same time, they made up their minds. It's just cheap plastic fans. If we can't buy from you, we will go back to the factory and order it ourselves. In the end, those 7 provinces were bought by 7 people. For these people, Feng Yu did not stipulate that they had to buy more than 5,000 units at a time. A total of 1,000 units was enough. Feng Yu wants the wind and rain electric fans to be deeply rooted in the hearts of the people. He wants everyone to remember the wind and rain electric fans to form a brand effect. In the future, the wind and rain brand would definitely bring more profits to Feng Yu. General Manager Feng, there are a total of 238,000 units. We don't have that many in stock and orders. Also, we still need to reserve some in our province. We need to order at least 130,000 units from the motor factory. Wu Qi passed the tabulation to Feng Yu and reported the situation at the same time. Not bad, not bad. From tomorrow onwards, you will be able to see the money. Arrange the order of picking up the goods, from north to south. We want our electric fans to sell well all over the country. Quote, Director Lee has been smiling since this morning. During the morning meeting, all the workshop directors said that the workers knew that they have work to do and that they will have to pay the wages owed for the past few months. All of them were very motivated. Look, when the workers saw him today, their eyes were filled with respect. But Director Lee was still worried. After the production of this batch of fans, what will happen to the factory for the rest of the year? Ding, ding, ding. Director Lee, Taiwan Trading's young general manager Feng is here. Hurry and invite him in. Sure enough, Feng Yu's first sentence made Director Lee overjoyed. Director Lee, we still need to increase the order for this electric fan. As for the quantity, let's make it 150,000. Quote, Wu Qi had reported to him that there was a shortfall of 130,000 units. But Feng Yu knew that there will be more orders. He had to prepare it first. Furthermore, it was fine to have 20,000 units. It was only 500,000 RMB. It was just a small amount. Even if the country could not buy all the 20,000 units, Feng Yu was not worried. He still had Kirilenko. The Soviet Union was a big country. How could they not buy all the 20,000 units? The Soviet Union's military industry was indeed better than Washa. But their products were heavy and heavy. This light, beautiful, convenient and cheap electric fan, even if the summer was short, there would still be a market for it. Furthermore, Feng Yu had given those people advice on how to sell, advertise and promote the fans. He even said that he would reimburse half of the advertising fees in the provincial newspaper. Director Lee had thought that Feng Yu was here to increase the order. But he did not expect Feng Yu to increase the order by 150,000 units. This way, the factory will have more than 1 million RMB in profits. The salaries for the rest of the year will also be settled. No problem. The original conditions are still the same. Shall we sign the contract? Director Lee was impatient. He will only be relieved after signing the contract. Wait a minute. Feng Yu suddenly waved his hand. Director Lee's heart skipped a beat. What does this mean? Is this Feng Yu trying to lower the price? Mr. Feng, this price is already very fair. We cannot lower it any further. Feng Yu laughed. He did not want to lower the price, but the delivery date must be brought forward. Director Lee, you misunderstood me. I am not trying to lower the price. What I want to say is the time. The delivery date of this order of 150,000 units must be the same as the previous order of 100,000 units. If you can do it, then this order will be handed over to you. If you cannot do it, I had already contacted Lin Province's first motor factory. They can guarantee that they can do it. Quote. Director Lee grabbed Feng Yu's hand. Mr. Feng, what do you think? We are cooperating well. Why should we hand this order to Lin Province's first motor factory? Their factory is much smaller than ours, and their workers are not as skilled as ours. But the time is too tight, and we cannot do it. Now our factory had stopped all military orders. We are producing electric fans 24 hours a day. We really do not have enough time. Quote. That's your problem. I only have one request. If you can agree, then I will sign the contract with you. If not, then I am sorry. At this time, Wu Qigang's uncle, Director Zhao, pushed open the door and said loudly, "We can agree." Director Li looked at Wu Qigang in shock. He also started his career in the workshop. How could he not know the efficiency of the workshop? 250,000 units in half a month. It was impossible to produce them. But Wu Qigang gave Director Li a reassuring look and said to Feng Yu, "Mr. Feng, can you wait for a minute? I need to speak to Director Li." Feng Yu made a "go ahead" gesture and picked up the teacup on the table. "Old Zhao, I know you want to get this order. But that young Mr. Feng is very smart. The contract will be written clearly and he will not let you drag the time." Director Li frowned in the corridor outside. Why did old Zhao agree to it? The factory would never be able to fulfill so many orders. Director Li, if they can get Lin Province's first motor factory to produce, why can't we? Director Li stared at Feng Yu. You mean, we will subcontract this order to Lin Province's first motor factory? Director Zhao came up with this idea. It was his nephew who, accidentally, revealed this idea to him in the afternoon. Director Zhao said that Taiwan Trading was contacting Lin Province's first motor factory. Why not let Bing City's motor factory get the order and then subcontract it to other factories? The profits will be lesser but at least 50%. When Director Zhao heard this, he immediately went to look for Director Li. Director Li heard what Feng Yu said at the door and knew that Feng Yu was really going to give the order to someone else. Director Li immediately rushed in. After the contract was signed, Director Li was still praising Director Zhao. If it weren't for old Zhao's quick thinking, the factory would have lost this big order. 150,000 units can be subcontracted to 3 factories. Each factory will make 50,000 units and the profits will be split equally with the other factories. 150,000 units and Bing City's motor factory will have at least 600,000 RMB of profits. Although it was less than half of the expected profits, it was better than nothing and it will not affect the military's mission. Old Zhao had worked in the factory for so many years and had a good reputation. It's time to promote him. The busy farming season had just ended. Feng Xingtai and Zhang Muhua saw that Feng Yu was still in Bing City and decided to come to Bing City to have a look. Didn't Feng Yu say that he had made money every time he called? Then they should buy a house in Bing City for their daughter. It will be convenient for their son to go to school. Brother Li, you said that my parents will be coming. They will be arriving soon. Quote. Yes, I called them last night. I will go to the train station to pick them up. I have already booked a restaurant for lunch. Quote. Li Shijiang was no longer trading treasury bonds as Taiwan Trading was too busy. After Feng Yu told him about the profits from Taiwan Trading, Li Shijiang also felt that it was too tiring to trade treasury bonds. Taiwan Trading was the most profitable, and that Russian was coming over soon. Li Shijiang went to the train station to pick them up and Feng Yu asked Wu Qigang and the rest to clean up the company. The offices upstairs and the warehouse downstairs must be cleaned up. When they heard that the big boss was coming over, these people quickly got to work. They had already seen General Manager Feng's temper from young General Manager Feng. If they did not perform well, would they be asked to leave? General Manager Feng had said that everyone will get a 100 RMB bonus this month. If they do well, they will get a bonus of at least 300 RMB at the end of the year. This was more than what they were earning at the motor factory. No one wanted to leave. Li Shijiang was a little perturbed. Why didn't Uncle Feng and Uncle Feng talk to each other along the way? They didn't even smile. Did I do something wrong? When they arrived at the company, Li Shijiang trotted out of the car, opened the door, and eagerly led the way. Although Uncle Feng had come to the company, Auntie Zhang had not. Welcome, welcome, a warm welcome. Welcome, welcome, quote. As soon as he reached the door, he saw 10 young men rushing out of the warehouse. They stood in 2 rows at the entrance of the warehouse, clapping their hands and shouting slogans. Their movements were neat, their voices loud, and they looked imposing. Dad, Mom, both of you are here. Feng Yu walked out and greeted them warmly. But when Li Shijiang saw Feng Yu's expression, he felt that Feng Yu was trying to flatter him. What are they doing? Let them in. You made such a big fuss, you scared me. Feng Xingtai said with a straight face. Okay. Go back to work. Feng Yu waved his hand and ran over to Li Shijang's mother. Mom, you have not been to this company before, right? Look, this is such a big warehouse, and it is all ours. How are the renovations upstairs? There are offices, meeting rooms, canteen, staff quarters. Feng Xingtai pulled Feng Yu's hand and asked softly, where is the toilet? Ah, over there, at that corner. In this warehouse area, only our house has a toilet. Pull the rope to flush. Before Feng Yu finished his sentence, his parents rushed to the toilet. 1 minute later, both of them walked out of the bathroom feeling refreshed. The reason why they did not smile along the way was because they were holding it in. Dad, Mom, how was the welcome just now? Do you feel like you are surrounded by stars? Feng Yu asked with a smile. What stars? You know why your dad and I are here. You keep saying that we are making money. How much did we make? You tell us today. Zhang Muhua stared at Feng Yu. On the way here, Li Shijang had told them that the company had spent more than 100,000 RMB on 3 cars. This prodigal, more than 100,000 RMB was enough to buy 3 big houses in Bing City. Feng Yu leaned back on his chair and crossed his legs. He started to shake his legs proudly. Feng Xingtai slapped the back of Feng Yu's head. Stop shaking. Hurry up and tell me. Feng Yu looked at his mother innocently. Mom, my dad hit me. You should have hit him. I am asking you a question, and you are wasting time. Look at Xiao Li, he is so straightforward. Quote. Li Shijang laughed. Uncle, Auntie, Xiao Yu is very capable. This company had made a lot of money. Feng Yu had a proud expression on his face when he saw his father's hand rising again. He quickly said, the company had made more than 1 million. Slap. The back of Feng Yu's head was slapped again. Dad, why did you hit me again? Feng Yu asked. How many times have I told you not to lie? Don't lie. You still dare to lie in front of me. This company has only been set up for a short time, and you are telling me that the company had made more than 1 million. Do you know how much 1 million RMB is? Quote. Feng Yu stood up and shouted angrily, who is lying? You ask Brother Li if the company had made so much money. Quote. Feng Yu's parents looked at Li Shijang at the same time. Li Shijang nodded. Uncle, Auntie, the company had really made more than 1 million. What the hell? Made more than 1 million? Feng Xingtai was about to raise his voice but immediately lowered it. There were outsiders in this warehouse, and they must not hear this. Yes, we really made more than 1 million. The orders have been signed. In a few days, we will get the first sum of money. Half a month later, all the money will be in our account. Dad, Mom, what do you want to buy? Just say it out loud. We will go and buy it later. Quote. Son, you didn't do anything illegal, did you? Listen to me, we can't do anything illegal. Zhang Muhua said with a trembling voice. Mom, what are you thinking? Your son is a genius. He can't even finish making money. Why would he do anything illegal? If you don't believe me, you can ask Brother Li. The company's profits are all clean. Feng Yu added in his heart. What Kirilenko said does not count. Li Shijang once again proved to Feng Yu, and Feng Yu's parents finally believed him. Feng Yu thought, this is not right, I am the son, and Brother Li is only the son-in-law. Why Mom and Dad don't believe me, but believe Brother Li? Did I pick this up from the dumpster? Now that you mention it, your dad and I really want to buy something. We want to buy an electric fan called Wind and Rain. I heard it is cheap and easy to use. Our village's old Zhao's son brought one back from Bing City. Zhang Muhua said. Mom, this Wind and Rain electric fan is our company's. Every employee in the company was given 2 units. We also made money from selling electric fans. Feng Yu explained. Slap. Feng Yu got slapped on the back of his head by his father again. It's your own company, and you don't even know how to get one for your family. Feng Yu, Dad, can we talk nicely and not hit each other? In the evening, the whole family had a big dinner at a restaurant. Li Shijang's parents also came. Li Shijang stopped trading treasury bonds. Now, Li Shijang has 110,000 RMB left. The money was divided equally between the 2 families. Li Shijang's father wanted Li Shijang to go back to work. After a few months of hard work, he had earned tens of thousands of RMB. This amount was enough to buy a big house. Uncle Li, Brother Li still needs to work in the company. The company cannot do without him. Furthermore, he is also one of the shareholders and one of the bosses. He should keep an eye on him. Quote. What boss? Isn't the company owned by your family? Li Shijiang's father asked curiously. Feng Yu found out that Li Shijiang did not tell his family that the Li family owns 10% of the company's shares. Even the worst-case scenario for selling the electric fans this time was at least 3 million RMB. Li Shijiang will get at least 300,000 RMB at the end of the year. Why would he still need to work? When Li Shijiang's parents heard that Li Shijiang had earned more than 300,000 RMB this year, their hands were trembling. They drank a few glasses of beer before they calmed down. It was a wise decision not to stop their son. What was even more wise was that their son had found such a good girlfriend like Feng Danying. Feng Yu secretly observed and noticed that the Li family was happy and there was no jealousy on their faces. Feng Yu was relieved. It seems that the Li family really treated the Feng family as a family. When Li Shijiang's parents heard that Feng Xingtai and his wife will be going to see a house tomorrow, they also want to go together. They want to buy a big and spacious new house. Everyone understood what Li Shijiang meant. Li Shijiang scratched his head and laughed. Feng Danying blushed and lowered her head. She held her teacup and sipped from it. Get out of the way. Do you know how to drive? Feng Yu was about to sit in the driver's seat when his father pulled him down. Dad, I have been driving for more than half a month. Ask brother Li, how is my driving skills? When did you secretly learn how to drive? Feng Xingtai was stunned. How come he did not know that his son knew how to drive? Your son is a genius. What can't he know? Really, the soybeans in that field need to be weeded and fertilized for the last time. I'll see how you do farm work in a couple of days. Quote. Dad, are you kidding? Feng Yu shut his mouth and obediently sat in the back seat with his sister. Li Shijiang drove the Li family to lead the way, and Feng Xingtai drove the Feng family and followed behind. Hey, you don't say, this car is really comfortable to drive. It's not that noisy, and it's not bumpy either. Feng Xingtai had wanted to drive this car since yesterday. He blamed Xiao Li for the fact that the restaurant he booked was too close to the company, so he had to walk there. Dad, if you like it, drive it away. Or we can just buy a new one. Your son is not short of money. Feng Yu patted his chest boldly. Don't talk nonsense. Didn't you say yesterday that we can only make money this time? There won't be such a high profit in the future. Zhang Muhua scolded. You don't have to worry about that. Your son has plenty of good ideas to make money. His real expertise is investment, and the bull market is coming. Along the way, everyone was laughing and chatting. Half an hour later, the car stopped by the roadside. Uncle, Auntie, Dad, Mom, this building was built last year, and the renovations were completed this year. Look at the floor plan. This house is very big and spacious. Quote. The place chosen by Li Shijiang is not far from Feng Yu's high school and the hospital where Feng Danying works. It's less than 10 minutes walk. Also, it's only 10 minutes walk from the bustling commercial street. This is the city center. In the future, the property prices in this area will skyrocket. This is Xiao Yu's school, third high school. This way is the hospital where Danying works. This way is the commercial street. The first department store is there. It's very lively. Also, this place is not far from the train station. It's less than 20 minutes walk. There are only 2 bus stops. It's very convenient. The houses here are a bit expensive, but I think it's worth it. Li Shijiang said enthusiastically. How expensive? 30,000 RMB per unit. 50,000 RMB per unit. Quote. Unfinished houses. 1 square meter costs more than 1,000 RMB. 1 unit costs more than 100,000 RMB. 1 square meter costs more than 1,000 RMB. And it's an unfinished house that hasn't been painted. What a black-hearted construction company. Who will buy such an expensive house? Feng Xingtai shouted. I will buy. I want this house. Feng Yu interrupted. This is too cheap. I want 2 units. Quote. Slap. Feng Yu was slapped on the back of his head by Feng Xingtai again. What are you talking about? Do you think you have the right to decide? Looking at Feng Yu's arrogant look, Feng Xingtai got angry. 1 unit costs more than 100,000 RMB, and you want to buy 2 units. Why buy 2 units? Is 1 unit not enough for you? Feng Yu looked at his father. Dad, didn't you say you want to buy a house for me? Why can't I express my opinion? Look at my sister. Doesn't she also want to live here? Quote. The Li family is more straightforward. They bought a new house for their son. How can they say they are reluctant in front of their in-laws? Son, then let's take a look at the house. What the salesperson said was similar to what Li Shijiang knew, but what others said was better. Good lighting, bright house, good feng shui, easy to get up and down, etc. The salesperson said a lot. What interested Feng Yu the most was that this building is a high floor and has an elevator. That will save a lot of trouble going up and down the stairs. Feng Yu is not willing to climb the stairs. Even the second floor makes him tired. In essence, he is a lazy person who can sit but will never stand. His goal is to live a leisurely retirement before the age of 30. Feng Yu pressed the button and stepped into the elevator. The salesperson looked at Feng Yu curiously. From the way this family is dressed, they don't look like rich people. Why are they so arrogant? At least 2 units. If you can buy 1 unit, I will thank the gods. Also, this little brother seems to be more familiar with pressing the button than her. Could it be that he often takes the elevator? I am a little scared of this elevator. Will I fall down? Zhang Muhua whispered. Feng Yu gave his mother a reassuring look. In this era, the quality of the elevators is still acceptable. It will not be like in the future when the quality of the elevators is not up to standard. Furthermore, he had never heard of any accidents in this elevator in his previous life. There will not be any problems. The house is unfinished and has not been renovated. Feng Yu walked around the house and came up with a plan in his heart. There are not many rooms, but it's okay. I will buy 2 units and cut a door in this non-load-bearing wall. 2 units will become 1 unit. Feng Yu must design the house and get people to renovate it. He is finally going to live in a high-rise building. What do you think of the house? Which unit do you want? The salesperson looked at Li Shijiang's father. It is obvious that these two are getting married and their parents are here to look at the house. What does this man do? He drove a small car and can afford to buy a house here. I want all 4 units on this floor. Feng Yu waved his hand generously. 2 units. We want 2 units. These 2 units. Feng Xingtai quickly pulled Feng Yu's hand down. This is a prodigal. Why does he need so many houses? Feng Yu had discussed with Li Shijiang's father. Each family wants 1 unit on the same floor. Feng Yu looks up at the sky. I am the one who earned this money. Why can't I express my opinion? 3 bedrooms and 1 living room. This is not enough. When his parents come, he will be sent to the study room. You want 2 units? Please wait for a moment. I will prepare the contract for you. The salesperson is excited. She did not expect this family to decide so quickly. This is a unit worth more than 100,000 RMB, and they want 2 units without blinking. Rich people are really happy. I want 2 sets of this leather sofa. I want 2 sets of this glass coffee table. I want 4 sets of this double bed, and all of them must be imported Simmons mattresses. I want 2 sets of the best electric water heater. I want 2 sets of Fraxinus bookshelves. I want 2 sets of 18-inch Panda TV, 2 sets of Little Swan washing machines, 2 sets of Acma refrigerators. In the first department store, Feng Yu bought everything he saw. He even found a reason to buy everything. For example, the sofa and mattress were for rest, the bookshelves were for reading and studying, the color TV was for watching the news and understanding the country's affairs. Anyway, Feng Yu was rich. Although these things were expensive, it was not more expensive than a house. Feng Xingtai and the rest just let Feng Yu buy. The salesperson beside Feng Yu was shocked. These were all big items. Most people would have to live frugally for at least half a year just to buy 1 item. This young man was buying a whole bunch of items at once, and he even wanted double figures. How much would it cost? Young man, these items are very expensive. You better discuss with your family. The salesperson reminded Feng Yu. That family seemed to be from the village. Did they think that the items in the city were cheaper than those in the village? Feng Yu looked at the salesperson and said, call your manager over. Tell him that Taiwan Trading's general manager Feng is here. Taiwan Trading. The salesperson was confused. It was the head of the household appliances department who saw Feng Yu and immediately asked the salesperson to call the manager. You don't even know about Taiwan Trading. Our department's best-selling wind and rain electric fans are from Taiwan Trading. Just this electric fan alone had brought over 1,000 yuan of profit to the mall in less than half a month. Moreover, the customer flow of the mall had increased, especially the customer flow of the household appliances department. This was a VIP that our manager couldn't invite even if he wanted to. Feng Xingtai saw Feng Yu quarreling with the salesperson and wanted to go over to see what was going on. But he saw a leader walking over with a smile and invited them to the manager's office. Xiao Li, what's going on? Feng Xingtai asked softly. He was just strolling around the mall when he was brought here. There was a sofa and tea. What was this for? Xiao Yu knows the manager of this mall. Li Shijiang felt that this was normal. He was representing Taiwan trading at all the shopping malls in Bing City, and the manager of the shopping malls had to personally receive him. On Sundays, those who wanted to buy the wind and rain electric fans had to line up. They were very popular. Please take a seat and have some tea. Come on, try my Teha cigarettes. The mall manager was very polite. He had long regretted selling the wind and rain electric fans. It would have been better if he had directly purchased the goods and sold it. The profit would be higher. He shouldn't have worried that the fans wouldn't sell. He didn't expect the wind and rain fans to sell so well. Manager Feng, I heard that other than Bing City, there are distributors in all the other places in Longjiang province. Also, their prices are much cheaper. Hearing the mall manager addressing Feng Yu as General Manager Feng, other than Li Shijiang, everyone had a weird look on their faces. This kid had just graduated from junior high school, and he was addressed as General Manager. That's right, not only in Longjiang province. We have distributors in all provinces in China, but other than Bing City. What's the matter? Feng Yu purposely asked. Ha ha ha, General Manager Feng, do you think we can also get the goods at the wholesale price? Can you also adjust the prices slightly? Quote. Well, it's not impossible. How about next month? We still need to finish the contract this month. Quote. Manager Lu couldn't wait until next month. He felt that the more fans he sold, the more losses he would incur. General Manager Feng, let's discuss this. We promise to order more. How about we order 1,000 units this time? The first department store was Bing City's biggest department store. Although there were other department stores competing, Manager Lu believed that he could sell all 1,000 units of wind and rain fans this summer. Manager Lu, my family had just bought a house and I want to buy some home appliances and renovation materials. What do you want to buy? I will get someone to install it for you for free. Manager Li from the materials market is an old friend of mine. I will make a phone call and ask them to prepare the best and cheapest materials for you. Have you found a renovation contractor? I will also ask him to help you find one. I guarantee that the contractor will be fast and meticulous. Quote. Since Manager Lu is such a good friend, then this matter can be discussed. How about this? Tomorrow, Manager Lu can come over to my company to discuss the wholesale price. We can set the same wholesale price as other distributors. Feng Yu knew that once the wholesale price was announced, these distributors would want to change the contract. He was also prepared for this. He was just taking advantage of the situation today. Feng Yu and Manager Lu exchanged their conditions, and everyone else was stunned. Li Shijiang's parents were sighing. Look at this Feng family's youngest son. He was so capable that even the manager of the first department store had to be so polite to him. Feng Xingtai's parents were very proud, especially Feng Xingtai. Everyone could see his proud look. After shopping for more than an hour, the rest did not say anything. Using Feng Yu's words, money is earned to be spent. If you want to buy something, you must buy the best. He had bought all these home appliances. It was all a small sum of money. Feng Yu also tried to persuade his parents not to return to the district. What was the point of farming? Especially when there was not a lot of land. They could not even build a big farm. Feng Yu's son is rich now, and his parents should stay in the city. Maybe it was because he could not live without his mother's cooking. But his parents were rejected. They were not used to the farm, and they did not have many friends in the city. Feng Yu decided to buy an apartment for his parents in the district. Even if they were used to the farm, they could still stay in the district. Feng Yu's parents still left. But when they left, they drove the small jeep in the warehouse. In the district, there were not many cement roads. It was more convenient to drive the jeep. Anyway, the company's car was usually idle. Using Feng Yu's words, in the future, when he went to the district, he would drive this car. It was fast and safe. The jeep was followed by a small truck. Feng Yu had bought some home appliances for the farm. Feng Yu's parents had told him not to squander money, but when they saw Feng Yu paying, the smiles on their faces betrayed them. In this era, there were no big renovation companies. He did not trust the small ones. Feng Yu found a few experienced renovation workers and directed them. First, the house was painted. The living room and kitchen were tiled. The bedroom and study were also flooring. All the toilets and bathtubs were installed. Just the renovation of the home appliances, excluding the manpower, cost almost 100,000 RMB. Feng Yu did not tell his family about this. They thought he had only spent 10,000 to 20,000 RMB. In the future, Feng Yu had seen renovations that cost more than the house. This was nothing. In another 2 years, all the renovations will be new. He guaranteed to be at the forefront of home renovations. Feng Yu's efficiency was good. In just a few days, the house was painted. The tiles and flooring were laid. All the necessary items were installed. Feng Yu then informed the first department store to send the home appliances. After everything was done, Feng Yu leaned comfortably on the sofa. He looked at the modern style of the house. He was finally used to it. This was how he remembered his home to be. Ring, ring, ring. Hello. Feng Yu picked up the phone on the coffee table, crossed his legs and leaned against the sofa. It is much more convenient to install a telephone at home. Fortunately, Li Shijiang works at the post office and he can install the telephone as fast as possible. Even if others want to pay a high price, they also have to queue up. The post office does not care if they want to install or not. Xiao Yu, that gay guy called to inform us. Should we prepare? Li Shijiang is very excited. Every time that old Russian comes, they can make a lot of money. Feng Yu suddenly sat up straight. Wait for me at the company. I will go over now. After reading the telegram, Feng Yu immediately asked someone to get a lawyer to come back. The telegram is very simple. This time, Kirilenko will bring a team to inspect the Huaxia market and look for a business partner. After listening to Feng Yu's translation of the telegram, Li Shijiang asked worriedly, Xiao Yu, this telegram did not mention us. Is he going to look for someone else to do business with? Feng Yu waved his hand. This business partner is definitely us. Firstly, we have cooperated a few times and we know each other better. Secondly, I know Russian. This will save us a lot of trouble. Furthermore, he sent this telegram to us. This means that he has the intention to cooperate with us. Lastly, we have funds now and we are on equal footing. He can take out 1 million rubles, why can't we take out 4 million RMB? Quote. Seeing Feng Yu's confidence, Li Shijiang's worries also disappeared. Although Feng Yu is very young, his business acumen is 10 streets ahead of him. Also, Feng Yu has never been wrong about what he said. When he said that treasury bonds will be open for trading, treasury bonds will be open for trading. When he said that electric fans will be a hit, the fans will be a hit. Now that he said that Old Russian will cooperate with them, Li Shijiang believes that Old Russian will definitely cooperate with them. After the lawyer arrived, Feng Yu closed the door and spoke to the lawyer for a long time. Feng Yu mainly wants to understand some policies and if his actions are against the current laws. After understanding all this, Feng Yu looked forward to Kirilenko's arrival even more. This time, Kirilenko really came with a team. Not counting himself, there were still 12 people. Feng Yu and Li Shijiang drove to the airport and only picked up half of them. The rest of them took their own cars back to the hotel. Brother Qi, are you planning to do a big business by making such a big fuss? Feng, I had thought about what you said last time, and I think we can give it a try. But I don't represent just me, so I can't decide things by myself. Kirilenko points to the people beside him. It seems like there are not only his subordinates here, but his business partners are also here. He winked at Feng Yu. Your name is Feng Yu. Is he the friend that Kirilenko mentioned? I don't care how good your relationship is, but if you want to do business with us, you have to show your sincerity first, a young man beside Kirilenko said. Feng Yu put down his cup. Sincerity. What is sincerity? Quote. These are the things we want. How much do you want to sell them to us? Feng Yu picked up the piece of paper and glanced at Kirilenko. Weren't these the goods Kirilenko bought the last time? The quantity was also interesting. It was 1/10 of the goods he bought the last time. Seems like Kirilenko was not trustworthy when it came to doing business. 50,000 rubles is too little. It's hard to lower the price. Kirilenko had only spent 300,000 rubles the last time, and these items on the list were worth about 30,000 rubles. Feng Yu had purposely quoted a higher price because he knew that Kirilenko would cheat on the prices after he returned to China. Kirilenko was relieved when he heard Feng Yu's quoted price. The last time he brought back 300,000 rubles worth of goods, the total cost was 470,000 rubles, and this was after he got help from a good friend, Huaxia. Now, the quoted price matched with Feng Yu's, and he was not afraid that his partners would suspect him. Humph, every time he came to Huaxia, he was the one who came. The rest of them were at home waiting for their share of the profits. Why can't he get a bigger share? If it wasn't for him, if he did not know Feng Yu, those people would not be able to buy so many Huaxia's goods at such a low price. The rest of the people nodded. The prices of Washa's goods were about the same as what Kirilenko had quoted. But even if this Feng Yu was trustworthy, he must also be qualified to do business with them. Kirilenko had said that Feng Yu was capable and knew many people in Bing City. But he still needed to prove his worth. Feng Yu looked at those few young men. Without guessing, he knew that they were the same as Kirilenko. They must be the second generation of the Soviet Union's military. All of them looked arrogant. Weren't they here to give money to Kirilenko? If Kirilenko was the one who gave money away, then these people were the golden pigs. Feng Yu only said one sentence, and those people believed that Feng Yu was a capable person. Our Taiwan Trading Company is the first private company in Bing City to have the approval to export. As for whether it was true or not, Feng Yu knew that they would not be able to find out. Anyway, Feng Yu was using this to bluff them. He must be confident when he said this sentence. Sure enough, these people were all amazed. It turned out that the person Kirilenko found was really capable. I have a question. You want to do business with us, but do you have the money? If you want us to help you purchase your goods, you must have the money. 100,000 rubles is too little for us to do business. We need at least 500,000 rubles. Quote. Feng Yu showed a shocked expression. 500,000 rubles. There are so many of you, and you only have so little money. Didn't I tell Kirilenko that I need at least 1 million rubles? If you all only have so little money, I think I should look for other partners. Quote. Feng Yu thought that since there were so many people here, they must be doing some big business. He did not expect the other party to be worse than he thought. Seems like he had overestimated these Soviet Union's second generations. Kirilenko's friends were embarrassed. It was not easy for them to come up with 500,000 rubles. The Soviet Union's current economic situation was worse than Washa's. Especially when they were only the second generation of the military and not some rich second generation. Kirilenko stood up and said, Feng, my friend, we had worked together several times. Why don't we continue to work together? Also, we have the advantage in transportation. We can get train carriages from Bing City to Moscow. We are also very sincere this time. As long as it is something that the Soviet Union has, and it is not contraband, we will get it for you. Quote. The rest of the people also patted their chests and promised that it would not be a problem as long as Feng Yu was willing to work with them and provide those Washa goods. Feng Yu reluctantly agreed, and everyone drank to their heart's content. After everyone had drunk a little, Feng Yu pulled Kirilenko to one side. Both of them whispered. Kirilenko put his arm around Feng Yu's shoulders, thanking Feng Yu for helping him earlier. There was someone in the group who had a higher rank than his father. He had always looked down on Kirilenko in the Soviet Union. This time, he wanted to tag along was because he felt that Kirilenko was up to no good. Kirilenko expressed that he was willing to continue working with Feng Yu. As long as Feng Yu could come up with 50,000 rubles, he would settle the rest. Feng Yu looked at Kirilenko seriously. Brother Ki, I am not joking just now. I really have 1 million rubles. If you can really get the goods that I want, then we can sign the contract tomorrow. Quote. Kirilenko was shocked like Feng Yu. Feng has 1 million rubles. The next day, the shocked Russians went to Taiwan Trading and saw Kirilenko and Feng Yu signing a trade agreement. On the agreement, the rights and responsibilities of both parties were stated. For example, the Soviet Union would be responsible for the transportation from Moscow to Bing City, the delivery date, etc. But there was no mention of the goods to be purchased. Brother Ki, what do you want this time? Do you have any recommendations? Kirilenko casually asked. Feng Yu snapped his fingers, and Wu Qigang placed 2 electric fans on the table. Everyone, please take a look. These are the popular wind and rain electric fans in Washa. Safe, light, beautiful and economical. I had specially reserved some for you all. Quote. When the Russians saw that the electric fans could be clipped onto tables, chairs, cabinets, etc., their eyes opened wide. When these Russians saw that Feng Yu's fingers were stuck into the blades of the fans, but he was not injured, they were shocked. Their country was just like what Feng Yu had guessed. There were electric fans, but it was the same as the one in Washa last year. All metal electric fans were expensive, heavy, noisy and not safe. 14 to 15 rubles for 1 unit. This was too cheap. Immediately, Kirilenko made the decision to buy 20,000 units. If it weren't for the fact that they did not have enough money, they would have asked for more. The rest of the orders were for food, such as ham, canned food, sweets, janlaibao, etc. The rest were textiles. The Soviet Union's heavy industry was the best in the world, but Warsaw had pulled ahead of them in terms of light industry. In the end, Feng Yu calculated the prices and only increased the prices by 5%. Including the electric fans, it was almost 600,000 rubles. These people did not have enough money. But Feng Yu waved his hand. It's only 100,000 rubles. I believe you all. If you all have enough wagons, I can send more goods to you. Also, this trade does not even need to use so much money. You all can send the goods to me at the same time. We can barter. Barter. They looked at each other. In their minds, Feng Yu should have made the payment and then shipped the goods. Then, when the other side received it, they loaded the goods that Feng Yu wanted into the truck and sent it over. At the same time, Feng Yu had to transfer the money to them. Now, Feng Yu wanted to send the goods directly and use the goods as collateral for the difference. However, they were in charge of the logistics. Feng Yu was paying for the one-way fare. Wasn't he afraid that they would play tricks on him? Feng Yu didn't believe in others, but Feng Yu believed in Kirilenko. As long as Kirilenko wants to make more money, he will need Feng Yu as his partner. Sure enough, Kirilenko agreed on behalf of the Soviet Union. With their capabilities, they could get the goods from the Soviet Union at 20% to 30% of the original price and pay the rest 2 to 3 months later. Immediately, they began to research and ask for more goods. When they had gathered 1 million rubles worth of goods, he asked Feng Yu, "What do you want?" Second-hand cars. Europe produced second-hand cars. As long as the car's performance is good and the price is reasonable, I want as many as you have. In this era, the tariffs for imported cars were very high. But second-hand cars, the tariffs were the same as ordinary goods. In China, there were a lot of people who liked imported cars but couldn't afford them. They could only settle for second best and buy some domestic cars. Feng Yu remembered that there was a legendary tycoon in Shanghai. She was Hua Sha. She was the first person to import second-hand luxury cars. Within 10 years, she had made a few hundred million in profits. Of course, she had used some tricks, and Feng Yu was prepared to use them. It will take a long time to transport goods by sea. Feng Yu will transport goods by rail. Feng Yu is confident that he will be able to capture the northeast market and expand to the whole north. Kirilenko and the rest had a complicated look on their faces. They had expected Feng Yu to want a lot of things. With their family background, they should be able to get their hands on some illegal goods. But they did not expect Feng Yu to want second-hand cars. Kirilenko and the rest do not have the resources to buy second-hand cars. It will be troublesome to get them in bulk. But they had already bragged, and they cannot go back on their words. Feng, we can get second-hand cars, but the quantity will not be a lot. Kirilenko said. Feng Yu raised his brows. Don't worry. You all can just pick the luxury cars. Mercedes-Benz, BMW, Volga, Ferrari, Lamborghini, etc. I only want the expensive ones. Quote. If Kirilenko were to bring some Lada over, there will be no profits. The tariffs between European countries were lower. The price of the same BMW in the Soviet Union and Warsaw can be more than double the price. Feng Yu will transport second-hand luxury cars over from the Soviet Union, and the Soviet Union will repair and refurbish the cars. Feng, other than these, don't you want anything else? Our country has lots of good machinery. Don't you need them? Quote. Feng Yu rubbed his chin and thought for a while, then I will get some spare parts. For example, farm tools parts, tractor parts, etc. I am still doing market research. I will let you know when I need them. Quote. No problem. We can get these things easily. Kirilenko and the rest were relieved. With their connections, they can get as many of these things as they want. This time, they had 500,000 rubles and wanted 1 million rubles worth of goods. But Feng Yu had 1 million rubles and wanted 1.5 million rubles worth of goods. Feng Yu's bartering method allowed both parties to purchase more goods each time. Both parties can use their own currencies in their own countries. This saves them a lot of trouble. There are only accounts and no need to use the money. After the negotiations, Feng Yu asked curiously, how do you pay taxes every time you transport so many goods back? Every time, Kirilenko would buy a lot of things, but they were all piled up together. Feng Yu was very curious about how Kirilenko passed the customs and paid taxes. Kirilenko blinked his eyes. Those goods are military supplies. We do not need to pay taxes. Damn, these people were more shameless than Kirilenko thought. In the name of military supplies, they put a lot of money into their own pockets. But if they can do it, what about Feng Yu? Kirilenko's company was a private company and must pay taxes. Although second-hand cars were cheaper than new cars, it was still very expensive. Feng Yu had found out about those metal parts and found that the taxes were not low. How can he avoid taxes? When Feng Yu thought of setting up a second-hand luxury car business, he thought of this problem. He had discussed with his lawyer and decided to import the cars under other names. Although he still needs to pay taxes, it will be at least 90% less. Importing cars need to pay taxes. What about importing spare parts? What about importing scrap metal? As long as the four wheels and the seats were removed from each vehicle, it would become a pile of scrap metal. The tires and seats will be imported as spare parts and can be reassembled into a new car in China. The original 50 to 60% tax will be reduced to 20%. This is a loophole. If he can do this 3 to 5 times, the 1 million rubles in Feng Yu's hands will become a few million or even tens of millions. At that time, Kirilenko will be one of the top people in Huasha's financial market. Kirilenko and the rest returned to Feng Yu's office and left their contact details. After Taiwan trading was done with the procurement, they will give Kirilenko a call and he will arrange for the train transportation. Kirilenko will also call Feng Yu after he found the goods that Feng Yu wanted. It was mainly to see if Feng Yu would accept their offer. Feng Yu let Li Shijiang and the rest handle the procurement. They were all customers from the last time they worked with Li Shijiang. Feng Yu just need to use the same price to negotiate with them. If they can do it, then do it. If not, Feng Yu will look for someone else. Feng Yu brought Wu Qigang to the motor factory again. General Manager Feng, are you here to check on the progress of the orders? Don't worry, I will not delay your work. The second batch of orders is almost completed. Quote. Congratulations. I heard that the old factory director is retiring. Director Li is finally going to be promoted. Ha ha ha, it is not decided yet. Although Director Li said so, there was always a smile on his face. He led the factory to a new path and turned the factory's losses into profits. The old director had to retire early because of illness. Who else could compete with him for the position of the director? The first is to congratulate you. The second is to check on the production progress. The third is to ask if the motor factory can do the automobile assembly business. Automobile assembly? I'm afraid not. Director Li shook his head. He really wanted to do it, but he could not do it. Their factory had a lot of talents for the motors. They were the best in China. But for automobiles, no one in their factory had done it before. They also could not afford to buy a production line. This business was delivered to their doorstep. It's not very troublesome. We don't need any big machinery. We just need to install the tires, seats, and paint the exterior. Our factory's workers should not have any problem with this, right? Feng Yu smiled and asked. Even Feng Yu could install the tires himself, let alone the grade 8 workers who could assemble the motors. Just install the tires and seats. I don't really understand. Director Li looked at Feng Yu blankly. Feng Yu explained that he will import a few batches of scrap metal and then assemble them into cars. He will refurbish the exterior and sell them to the public. There were quite a few of them, and they needed some workers and space. Is this legal? Director Li asked worriedly. It's not illegal, is it? I will get the approval for the car sales. How much do you want for each car? Director Li, name a price. Quote. This, I need to have a meeting to think about it. I'll give General Manager Feng an answer tomorrow. How about that? Feng Yu stood up. No problem. If Director Li is troubled, I can go to the aviation factory. They are also manufacturing automobiles. After Feng Yu left, Director Li immediately called a meeting for all the workshop directors and above. Could this job be done? If so, how much would it cost? As soon as they heard that there was work to be done, these workshop directors rushed to do it. As for the things that they couldn't do, no one thought about it. Even if they couldn't do it, they wouldn't lose out. Anyway, once the contract was signed, if Taiwan Trading could not pay up, they will impound the cars. Push all the blame to Taiwan Trading. Taiwan Trading was a state-owned factory. What can the city do to them? If the city did not allow them to do so, or if they were to be punished. Fine, the city will pay the workers' salaries. This meeting lasted for less than a minute, and it became a competition among the workshops. It was only installing seats and tires. It was much easier than assembling a large generator. How can they not do it? General Manager Feng had said that if the motor factory refused to do it, they will contact the aviation factory. Why should they let them off easy? Their lives were much better than the motor factory. The motor factory was not poor. There was always money in their accounts. The government had given them funds for research. But those funds were earmarked and cannot be used. There was money in the accounts, but the workers were not paid. Some of the debts were not collected. How could the leaders of the factory not be stressed? Now there was money in their accounts, and there was no reason for them to reject it. Just look at the wind and rain electric fans. They were selling well in the market. They heard that it was sold all over the country. No one had said that it was a low-quality product. The factory's reputation was not tarnished, and the workers were getting benefits. Manager Feng is very reliable when it comes to business. In the afternoon, Feng Yu received a call from Director Li. They could definitely do the installation of seats and tires. But the quantity should not be less than 30 units, and the profits from each unit must not be less than 1,000 RMB. Feng Yu immediately agreed. Although the charges were higher, he could still accept it. If these cars were transported back, installed and refurbished, his profits would be a few million RMB. Feng Yu also told Director Li that the refurbished cars would be left at the motor factory. He would pay the rental fees and guarantee that all the cars would be taken away within a month. After waiting for 2 days, Kirilenko finally called. But it was not good news. Feng Yu did not know that in this era, the Soviet Union was the same as Russia a few years ago. They were isolated and self-sufficient. The Soviet Union's most popular cars were Polonaz, Lada and Volga. There were also a small number of British and Japanese cars. But Feng Yu had made it clear that he did not want Soviet cars. That left only the British and Japanese cars. Most of the Japanese cars were smuggled, so the driver's seat was on the right side. Only the British cars met Feng Yu's requirements. Feng Yu was disappointed. There was only one country to choose from. Don't you import German cars, French cars, and other European cars? Feng Yu suddenly remembered that the Soviet Union's relationship with Germany and France was not good. Even if there were imports, the quantity was very little. If it was because of ethnic conflict, the smuggled Japanese cars were selling well. Feng Yu really did not know how to evaluate it. Never mind. British cars will be British cars. What brands are there? Feng Yu wanted to know if there were any big brands that he had heard of in his previous life. When Kirilenko said this, Feng Yu got excited again. Rolls-Royce, Jaguar, Aston Martin, Rover, Land Rover, Bentley, Lotus. Which of these were not famous luxury car brands in his previous life? Although some of them were acquired by other companies, the brand value was still there. He wanted all these brands. As long as there were no problems with the chassis, engine, and other core components, the rest did not matter. Feng Yu also wanted to change cars. This broken Lada should be scrapped. He wanted to change to Rolls-Royce, Aston Martin, or Land Rover. Kirilenko told Feng Yu the price he had prepared. He had contacted a dealer who specialized in selling British used cars. Actually, it was Feng Yu who had angered those second generations when he signed the contract. They felt they had lost their face. This time, they must settle the contract well and regain their face. That dealer did not want to sell to them at first as the price was too low. But those second generations told the dealer that they must sell the cars to the army and the price must be low. Otherwise. Anyway, they had lowered the price of the cars to the lowest. Most of the luxury cars were sold at 100,000 to 200,000 rubles. Now, the average price of used cars was less than 60,000 rubles. They had already received more than 30 cars, and the total price was more than 1.5 million rubles. Feng Yu immediately expressed that he does not need those farm tools. He wants these cars to be shipped over immediately. He will pay for the shortfall. If these cars were refurbished, Feng Yu's assets would double. The speed of the motor factory's production was very fast. Within half a month, all the production was completed. Those wholesalers who had signed the contract with Feng Yu had collected the last batch of goods. Taiwan Trading had a few million RMB in their accounts. There were rumors that there were other brands of cheap electric fans appearing in the south. But the craftsmanship was not good, and the big shopping malls were occupied by wind and rain fans. There was no market in the city. The motor factory took a different approach and focused on the counties and towns. The sales were also good. Feng Yu was very satisfied. These distributors were good. They learned from Bing City and signed contracts with the big shopping malls first. At least this year, there were no other electric fan manufacturers that could compete with wind and rain fans. Whether it was the sales volume or profits, wind and rain fans were way ahead of the rest. Not only Feng Yu made a lot of money, but those distributors also made a lot of money. In the south, the development of the city, the population, and the temperature were much better than Bing City. They had increased the prices by 15%, but the sales were still booming. There were even people who wanted to order more. The goods that Kirilenko bought were also loaded onto the trucks. The export orders were for food and textiles. With the help of the Foreign Trade Office, everything went smoothly. 500,000 rubles was transferred into Taiwan Trading's account. Manager Zhu was the first to know about this news and was very excited. This young Feng Yu was really capable. It had only been a while, and he had gotten another 500,000 rubles back. The leaders from the Foreign Trade Office were also very happy. They could finally answer to the provincial leaders. Feng Yu's first batch of goods must be at least 30 vehicles. So, Kirilenko made some adjustments and added some Japanese crowns into the mix. Finally, the total cost was slightly more than 1 million rubles. Feng Yu also transferred the money into Kirilenko's account. Director Zhao, oh, no. I should call you President Zhao. President Zhao, our components will arrive at Bing City soon. Is your truck ready? Bring the components back. Feng Yu called the motor factory to pick up the trucks. Ha ha ha, Deputy Chief Engineer. The goods have arrived, right? We're ready. We'll send a car over right away. Deputy Chief Engineer Zhao was very happy. In yesterday's meeting, it was announced that he had been promoted to Deputy Chief Engineer of the factory. He had been promoted by half a rank. All this was thanks to Feng Yu. When the used cars arrived, the motor factory will send them to the factory for assembly, painting, cleaning and refurbishing. For this purpose, they even gathered all the workers who knew how to use cars to ensure that these cars would not go wrong. This way, they will be able to maintain long-term cooperation with Feng Yu. These cars will take at least 1 week to complete. Feng Yu finally had time to return to the district. The acceptance letter had arrived. After driving for more than 3 hours, Feng Yu finally arrived at the farm. It had just rained yesterday, so the road was a little muddy. This shabby Lada almost sank a few times. Feng Yu increasingly felt that when this batch of second-hand cars was ready, he had to save a Land Rover for himself. Li Na was slowly walking home from school. She had gotten into the best high school in Bing City, and her acceptance letter had arrived. What made her even happier was that Feng Yu also got in. There were only 4 students in the whole school who got in. The other one had always been the top student in his grade. It was normal for him to get in. She had performed well this time, and it was also normal for her to get in. She did not want to ask why Feng Yu got in. But how did Wen Dongjun get in with his results? The reason given by the school's teachers was that Third High School was expanding its enrollment this year, and there were not many applicants. Wen Dongjun had gotten in. How could this be possible? Those who had better results than Wen Dongjun but did not dare to apply were regretting. The teachers also felt sorry for those students. Third High School's enrollment rate was very high. There were no students who could not get into university. Li Na was still smiling as she walked. She was going to the same high school as Feng Yu. She wondered if they would be in the same class. It would be even better if they could be deskmates. Thinking about how there was no news from Feng Yu for so long, she was a little angry. Was Bing City so fun? He had been away for a month, and he was still not back. Didn't Wen Dongjun return a long time ago? Why did he take such a long time? Never mind, I will not be angry anymore. As long as he is back now, I will not be angry anymore. But will he be back today? Beep. A car horn sounded behind her, and Li Na moved closer to the roadside. There were no cars on the road. What's the point of honking? A loud whistle sounded behind her. Li Na was finally angry. How dare you act like a hooligan on the streets? She turned around and wanted to scold him, but she suddenly smiled. Feng Yu was back. Li Na, where are you going? The notice has arrived, right? Feng Yu stuck his head out of the window and smiled. Yes, you just came back. That's right, I had driven for more than 3 hours. Oh, I don't know where to get my notice. Can you bring me there? Quote. The school was only so big. How could he not know where to get his notice? But Li Na did not expose Feng Yu's lies. She walked towards the car. Feng Yu alighted from the car and opened the door for Li Na. Please get in. Where did you get this car from? Why do you know how to drive? Li Na asked curiously. In the entire district, only the leaders of the district were qualified to sit in this car. The other rich people also bought cars. But the cars they bought were domestic jeeps, which were cheap and easy to use. I bought it. This car is very comfortable to sit in. Sit tight. Let's go. How is it? My driving skills are not bad, right? I have been driving for more than 10 years. Quote. Stop bragging. How old are you? Have you seen a car when you were young? Li Na rolled her eyes at Feng Yu. Feng Yu smiled and did not say anything. He had really been driving for more than 10 years. It was just 2 lifetimes added together. Here, this is for you. I thought it looks good, so I bought it. Feng Yu passed a pink hair clip with a bow to Li Na. Who wants your things? Li Na said, but she snatched the hair clip and put it on her head. Feng Yu tilted the mirror and let Li Na look at herself. He had thought of giving Li Na other things, like clothes, jewelry, etc. But Li Na was still in the district. If she gave Feng Yu's things, how could she explain to her parents? This hair clip was more suitable. It was not expensive, and it was easier to explain to her parents. Most importantly, Li Na liked hair clips, and the district did not have such beautiful hair clips. At the age of 15, they were as beautiful as peaches and plums. They looked around and forgot about worldly affairs. Feng Yu looked at Li Na blankly. Her smile could make people forget about their worries. Why are you looking at me? Li Na lowered her head and blushed. Feng Yu wanted to tease her. I am looking at the rearview mirror to see if there are any cars behind. Li Na was stunned and stared at Feng Yu angrily. Ha ha ha, I am just teasing you. You are so pretty, and I want to look at you more. Quote. Li Na blushed even more and lowered her head. Stop talking nonsense. Feng Yu smiled and did not reply. He slowly drove back to school, and the car was emitting a pink scent. At school, Feng Yu collected his and Wen Dongjun's acceptance letter. He wanted to stay with Li Na for a while, but it was already noon, and Li Na had to return home. Feng Yu drove off, and the teachers were gossiping. This kid's family must be rich. They heard that his sister had found a tycoon in the city. Look, he even drove a small car. That car should be the same as the chief's car. Especially those female teachers. They were lamenting their bad luck. Why couldn't they find a tycoon in the city? In this era, as long as one was brave and willing to work hard, doing business would earn more than working. Feng Yu could not be bothered with these discussions and drove Li Na home. Let's go to the riverside tomorrow. I will pick you up. No, my parents will not let me go out. You are not alone. Just say it is a class reunion. There are only 4 of us who got into 3rd high. We must take care of each other. Tell your parents this, and they will surely agree. I will call Lu Kun. Quote. Li Na also wanted to go out and play. She thought for a while and nodded. What time tomorrow? 8 a.m. We will have a picnic at noon, and I will send you back before evening. That's settled, Feng Yu said domineeringly. At home, Li Na told her parents, and they agreed. In the future, they will be high school classmates, and they will still be studying in the city. They must take care of each other and not get bullied by the students in the city. Lu Kun received Feng Yu's invitation and happily agreed. He had never sat in a jeep before, especially when he heard that Feng Yu would drive a jeep to pick him up. Mom, Dad, I am back. Oh, my son is back. Have you eaten lunch? What do you want to eat? I will cook for you. Zhang Muhua's face was filled with love when she saw her son. She was still not used to her son's absence in Bing City for so long. A bowl of noodles for lunch is fine. Let's have dumplings for dinner. Okay, you sit here and watch TV. Where is my dad? He went fishing with your uncle's son in the backyard. Now that he has a car, he's just showing off. The fish he caught aren't even worth the gas money. Feng Yu smiled. This bit of gas money was nothing. Anyway, the money Feng Yu earned in a month was more than his parents could spend in a year. In the afternoon, Feng Yu passed the notice to Wen Dongjun, and they played Super Mario for the whole afternoon. His son was admitted to the best school in the city, 3rd high school, so Wen Diguang let him play. The next morning, Feng Yu drove the fully fueled jeep to pick up Li Na and Lu Kun. Once he reached the riverside, Wen Dongjun ran into the river with a car tire in his hands. He was bare-chested and was only wearing a pair of shorts. Lu Kun was doing the same. The two of them were having fun in the water. Feng Yu and Li Na carried their fishing rods and nets and walked to a bay to fish. Riverside, cool breeze, fragrant grass, flowing water, weeping willows, a sunny day. The scenery was as beautiful as a painting. Li Na was sitting quietly beside Feng Yu. She was wearing a bright yellow dress and the hair clip Feng Yu gave her yesterday. The sun shone on her hair, and it was glowing. A young girl in her prime walked into this beautiful picture scroll, as if she had become one with it, making the picture scroll even more beautiful. Splash! A handful of water splashed on Feng Yu's face, and the beautiful feeling was immediately broken. Why are you fishing? Come down and play. The water is not cold at all. Wen Dongjun's smiling face suddenly became very annoying. Splash! Lu Kun also splashed water on Feng Yu's head. He should not have brought these two along. It would be better if there were only the two of them. After splashing water a few times, Feng Yu was thoroughly angered. Feng Yu also took off his clothes and rushed into the water wearing only a pair of shorts. He splashed water on those two fools. After a while, Li Na also tiptoed into the water and helped Feng Yu splash water on Wen Dongjun. Li Na's dress was soon wet, and Feng Yu quickly shouted for her to stop. Feng Yu blocked Li Na and asked her to go back to the car. He changed into another set of shorts and left the dress on the roof to dry. The dress was sticking to her body. He can look at it, but no one is allowed to look. Come, I will teach you how to swim. Feng Yu pulled Li Na away from those two fools. They do not know how to swim and only know how to flop around in the water. Li Na went into the water and was slowly pulled by Feng Yu. The water was already up to her neck. She held onto Feng Yu's arm tightly and dared not to walk any further. Trust me. Relax slowly and lift up your legs. I will hold you back. Li Na shook her head. Lifting up her legs is not to drink water. Feng Yu suddenly floated up and looked up at Li Na. Li Na did not manage to hold onto Feng Yu's arm and slipped. She fell backwards. Feng Yu stood upright in the water and supported Li Na's waist with both hands. Li Na was floating on the water. Don't be afraid. I am here. See, isn't it easy? As long as you are not afraid, anyone can float on the water. I forgot what my teacher said. The density of the human body is lower than the density of water. Quote. Li Na's hands and feet were no longer flailing around. She slowly relaxed and realized that she was really floating on the water. But how do I flip over? Slowly twist your waist. I will support you. Don't worry. When Feng Yu was supporting her, his hand accidentally brushed past Li Na's butt. Li Na panicked and twisted her body to face upwards again. Sorry, I did not mean to do that. It's okay. Li Na closed her eyes and said softly. It's okay. Feng Yu blinked. Was this an encouragement to him? Splash. Another handful of water splashed on Feng Yu's head. Why are you two hiding here? Come over and play. Damn, it's that idiot Wen Dongjun again. I am teaching her how to swim. You go and play first. We will go over later. Feng Yu wiped the water off his face and shouted. You, teaching swimming? I am an expert. I am not bragging. I knew how to swim when I was 3 years old. I was bathing in the river when I was 5 years old. People call me a beginner. Quote. You are wearing an inner tube, and you still dare to say you are a beginner. Feng Yu pointed behind Wen Dongjun. Run. There are water snakes. Wen Dongjun was shocked. He struggled for a minute, and the water splashed high. In the end, he only managed to swim for less than 1 meter. Feng Yu looked at Wen Dongjun and sneered. Even a turtle is faster than you. Beginner. Lu Kun could tell what Wen Dongjun was thinking. He jumped to Wen Dongjun's side. He is just teasing you. There are no water snakes. Let's go. I saw a ground cage, a long net cage used for catching fish and shrimps over there. Let's go and set it up. Quote. Feng Yu turned his head and rubbed his hands. Come, let me continue to teach you how to swim. I am tired. Pull me up. I will wash the cherries and plums. Let's eat something. Quote. Damn, it's all Wen Dongjun's fault. Feng Yu helped Li Na to stand up slowly, and both of them walked back to the riverbank. Li Na went to the back of the car and wrung out her clothes and shorts. She wore them again and took the fruits to the riverbank to wash. Feng Yu went back to the fishing spot and pulled up the fishing rod. The earthworms were already eaten. Luckily Wen Dongjun and Lu Kun had stolen some fish from other people's cages. Although the fish were not big, it was enough for them to roast. They lit the fire with oil and skewered the fish with willow twigs. The 4 of them sat together and sprinkled salt on the fish. They did not care if the fish was cooked or not, they tore it off and stuffed it into their mouths. Other than roasted fish, there were also roasted ham, lamb, clams also known as gala in the northeast, and roasted prawns. The 4 of them ate until their mouths were full of oil. After eating, they lay down on the grass. Everyone was looking forward to their future. I want to be a scientist. I will invent many new things in the future. I also want to build rockets. Lu Kun said loudly. What's the point of being a scientist? I want to be a government official. I want to be a leader. I want to be in charge of you. When Dongjun said, Lee Na laughed. I want to be a teacher. I want to be like Teacher Sun. I want to sponsor those who cannot afford to go to school. Feng Yu opened his arms. My dream is to earn money. Earn a lot of money. At the same time, I can fulfill your dreams.